Welcome to the BEASTwriter Family, where social media engagement is encouraged. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be breaking down the divisional round of the 2021 playoff bracket. Now, before we go ahead and get started, I just want to say mahalo to each and every one of you for subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. Just be sure to turn on and flip on the bell notifications so you get notified when I go live or when I upload content. Also, if you guys are just tuning in, please, and you guys aren't subscribed and you guys are watching on Twitter or Facebook, wherever the case may be, and you guys have YouTube, because everyone has YouTube, do me a favor and do me a solid and subscribe in the lower right hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on all things Beast. All right, there's a little subscribe button. Just go ahead and hit that red box and boom, hit subscribe and turn on the bell and you're good to go. All right, so there's a lot to discuss. I know people have been hitting me up through the DMs, through private messages, on Facebook live chats, on Facebook messages. What else we got here? Instagram, regarding my would it be our fitness grind, or would it be anything else you guys have? There's a lot of stuff we can talk about, but we're going to stay on topic right now. We're going to stay on the divisional round of the playoffs because this is really exciting. I mean, to be honest with you, I know the wild card playoff picture with 7 teams in from both conferences is kind of like, man, most of the games are like, wasn't very competitive. But can't say the same with the Cincinnati Bengals and Raiders. That was competitive. Niners and Cowboys, that was competitive. And so I look at these games, and at first I have to be honest with you guys. I'm a very, I'm a traditionalist. I like having 6 teams in from both conferences, right? I always liked it that way because I think regular season games should mean something. Not saying like going to 7 games or going to 7 teams doesn't mean anything, but when you add a seventh team, I guess on any given Sunday, you can kind of take that scenario and be like, oh yeah, well on any given Sunday, that's why there's 7 teams in. But that's almost half the league getting in, if you think about it. That's 14 teams. I don't like it. I like to keep it with 6 teams, but hey, I'm not going to complain because the Niners are in it. But whatever. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We got some comments coming through on YouTube. Be sure to drop those comments. Also, thank you, everyone. I know you guys like these banners, but I really want to say thank you for the love and support, for all the donations, all the tips, all the super chats and super stickers you guys have been throwing me over on Twitter, over on YouTube. Really does me, I'm watching Kill right here. Got sidetracked. But really does me, it makes my job worthwhile, I guess you'd say. So I really do appreciate it, and it upkeeps of the channel. So again, you guys know my audio equipment craps out, which I forgot to tell the moderators that I'm on right now, which they should know. They get notified. But in case it craps out, you guys got to throw me a DM and say, or a comment and say, hey, dude, your audio is garbage, bro. All right. So let me just tell my boy right now. Okay, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, so let's get down to business. We're going to start. I know you guys want to know what I had to say about the Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, but we're just going to start with right here, the Bengals at the Titans, right? So the Bengals at the Titans, let's start there. All right, so the Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Titans. If you were to tell me that the Bengals were going into this game healthy, I would have picked the Cincinnati Bengals. Plain and simple. But for a number of different reasons, I think I'm going to roll the other way. All right? I've been high on the Bengals. Rule the jungle. I get it. Seize the day. I get it for you Bengals fans. I get it. I love what you guys did in the draft, getting Jamar Chase, not going after and reaching for need for a guy like Penei Sewell. I like what you guys did there. I do. Like the trio of wide receivers you have there. Joe Mixon, no pun intended. Got Joe Burrow last year. Offense looks strong. Defense looks strong. Or it did look strong. If you guys watched Inside the Huddle, which is on the Relevant app, which me and my man Randy Cross, we have a pregame show, but we were also asked to hop on Inside the Huddle for a wild card preview with Sean Salisbury, Tom McManus, and Glenn Parker. You guys know who these guys are. You guys, oh, those guys ring a bell. Yeah, well, Glenn Parker was on those 4 Super Bowl teams, and they lost all 4. But They were in it. Glenn Parker was a big reason why. So, again, no pun intended. The guy's a big beast in his own right. But we talked about it, right? We talked about what we thought heading into this ball game. When you fast forward to today in the divisional round, I spoke about on Inside the Huddle on the Relevant app, which you guys can download. It's RELEVNT. Let me just put it up here for you guys so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And you guys can go back and say, oh, well, Beast was wrong or Beast was right. In fact, I call myself out. I don't care. All right, so download the Relevant app. It's called Don't Cross the Beast Empire with my man Randy Cross. We're on there 2 times a week, and you guys can talk to us all day when we're on that app. So if you guys have any questions, answer, you want, just like on here, but it's through the Relevant app. And so it's a good thing going because, again, you get insider analysis from not only myself, but also Randy, who also played at the highest level, arguably the best 49ers offensive lineman to ever play the game, football Hall of Famer. All right, so you can't go wrong with that, right? If you guys don't know who Randy Cross is, come on. And you're a Niner fan, come on. You guys all know should know who Randy Cross is. And yeah, it's a really good app. So this is not a promotional ad by any means, but check it out. It's a lot of fun. But getting back to it, we spoke about the wild card games, and one thing that I touched base at the very end after everyone provided their analysis is I said, look, the Cincinnati Bengals are good, no question, right? And everyone's talking about the trio of wide receivers, Joe Mixon, which we talked about. I mean, that's a given. But I said, let's peel back layers of the onion to get to the core, as I always like to say here on YouTube. Look at the free agents they brought in. They killed 2 birds with 1 stone by taking 2 AFC North opponents within the division. Mike Hilton, slot cornerback, right? Number 28 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, now transitioned to number 21 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Holla at your boy. Then you double down on those gains by going after Larry Ogunjobi from the Cleveland Browns, right? And then he comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you go out in free agency and get a pass rush double-digit sack artist in Trey Hendrickson. Wow. But let's not stop there. Let's go after another boundary cornerback in Jadobe Awuzie from the Dallas Cowboys. San Jose homegrown product here in the South Bay, playing for Oak Grove High School, a Colorado product. Wow. Team them up with Jesse Bates and Von Bell, and you have one hell of a secondary, fam. But the reason I'm picking the Tennessee Titans after saying all this is because 2 of those guys have gone down to injury. One, you have Trey Hendrickson, who went down with a concussion. I know everyone's like, oh, well, Bosa went down with a concussion. He plays defensive end. Keep that in mind, guys, because Trey Hendrickson was a limited participant in yesterday's practice. And Joey Bosa. I say Joey Bosa. And if I say Joey Bosa, it's because Tracy Wolfson, if you guys watched the Dallas Cowboys game, she called Nick Bosa Joey Bosa. So if you look onto my Twitter, I said, wait, she said it not once, but twice. Anyways, so if I say Joey Bosa, you guys get the joke. But Nick Bosa, right, he was out for yesterday's game. He was out for yesterday's practice, I should say. So he was even limited participant, and that's huge. But I think he's going to play. If I was a betting man, he's going to play. Just like Trent Williams, I said he's going to play. And people are like, oh, man, I don't know if he's going to. I'm like, bro, he's going to play. He's going to play. Listen, this is the playoffs. And to get these players off the football field, you're going to have to, take out their legs. They're going to be playing. NFL is a business. They want the best players on the football field. They're going to be playing. Warner's going to be playing. Low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain, but he's going to be playing. He even tweeted out, hey, man, I'm good to go. Sorry about the scare. Holla at your boy. So, with all that being said, you put 2 and 2 together, those guys are going to be healthy enough to go. I mean, you cannot, in a must-win game in the divisional round against another conference rival, Green Bay Packers, you cannot sit out Bosa. You cannot do those such things. And again, concussion, obviously brain injury, right? But NFL is a business. I think he's going to play. I find it hard to believe that he's not going to be playing in this ballgame. In fact, if there is a prop bet on that, which I don't know if there is, but if there is a prop bet because he was out yesterday, what are the odds that he's playing? Is it 65%? Is it 55%? I would take, hey, man, I don't care, man. I'm going all in. Boom. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd put my bet there. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm taking it back, and we're talking about this right now. Let's start with the 2 Saturday games, starting with the Bengals at the Titans, right? So we talked about the defensive linemen, how Bosa played into that role because Trey Hendrickson also had a concussion against the Oakland Raiders. Oakland Raiders and Joey Bosa, how's that going for you? Joey Bosa has a concussion. No. Well, he does have concussions, but that's for a different story. Been relatively healthy for the most part this year. Great every single snap of Joey Bosa. But getting back to Nick Bosa, getting back to Trey Hendrickson, getting back to Larry Ogunjobi, and what the Tennessee Titans like to do, they like to open up the running game. Look, they have Deonta Foreman. People are saying who Deonta Foreman is. No, it's not Devontae Freeman. It's Deonta Foreman. Who is this guy? He's an Atlanta Falcons practice squad player that was released right before the season started. That's how much value he had to other NFL teams. And then the Tennessee Titans are like, hey, we need a running back because Derrick Henry's gone. He's out for the regular season. So we're going to have to pick up the slack somewhere. We're going to pick up Deonta Foreman. And man, this guy had, if I'm not mistaken, I think he racked up, and I was looking at it last night, 566 rushing yards on the ground in 9 games played for the Tennessee Titans. If you double down on that analysis and look at those stat lines, and then you multiply it by a 17 regular season game, you have, I think, 1,067 rushing yards, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just do the math real fast. Oh man, it's definitely over 1,000 yards. It's definitely over 1,000 yards. Sorry, it's not 1067, it's 1069. Excuse me, 2 yards off, but you get the picture. 1,000-yard rusher. Man, and when you look at any Bill Belichick coached tree team, you will see toughness. You will see smarts. You won't see undisciplined like you see with the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, they shot themselves in the foot many occasions. I thought it was laughable at how many times they shot themselves in the foot with pre-snap penalties. And the question was asked to me, who do I blame for that? The pre-snap penalties, who would I blame? A coach asked me, say, hey, I'm a coach, obviously. He's like, I always hear different viewpoints on who's to blame. He's like, if you were on the outside looking in, which you are, because you're not a coach, who would you blame? I say, you know what, coach? I blame it on both of you guys. I blame it on you guys, on the coaching staff, for not being disciplined enough in practice to preach that up. But then it's also on the players, because the players are the one that execute on the field. So if you're not doing the due diligence and paying attention to detail, and this has been a long problem over the course of the season, and you're still making pre-snap penalties because you're trying to get a strong get off or trying to trying to time the snap count, that's on the player. In fact, if that happens in the game, I don't care how good you are, unless you're TJ Watt, who does a good job at that. But you look at Alex Highsmith from the Pittsburgh Steelers, he tries to do the same thing. He even alluded to that in earlier press conferences. You know what? The thing I want to work on is timing the snap count. And look how many not false start penalties, because he plays defense. How many offside penalties, how many neutral zone infractions has he had this year? So you look at that and you say, hey, look, I understand that you have the get off and you want to time the snap count to get that initial quick step and that first step to on that offensive tackle or where interior guard, whatever the case may be, if it's a stunt, twist, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you don't move until that ball moves. So you should be looking at that ball, and if that ball doesn't move, you don't move. And that's why so many times when you watch practice, because obviously I was a beat writer for so many years, they have that little ball on a stick. They stick it down and say, Blue 42, set. Red 80, Alpha, set. And then they pull it back, and that's when you go. If you see a defensive lineman kind of, I'd stop practice and be like, hey, what are you doing, bro? That's not what we teach here. And that's why Bill Belichick inspired teams are so good, because they're so disciplined. Now, against the Buffalo Bills are very undisciplined. They didn't even show up to play. And I like the New England Patriots, let's be honest. I love New England Patriots. I love Bill Belichick. I love Tom Brady, who's now off the top. But I just like the way the team has been always built. I just do. I have so much respect for them. You can talk about Deflategate, Spygate, all that. look, the guy's a winner, the greatest coach of all time. Say what you want, that's the bottom line. But again, when it comes to the Bengals and the Packers here, Bengals and the Titans, Bengals and Packers, we'll get to the Packers, Bengals and Titans, the Titans are going to come out on top. Simply because if they do get Derrick Henry back, which is a possibility in some way, shape, or form, and can be used in goal line situations down inside the red zone and down in third and short, some of these situations what you call situational football, you have a two-pronged problem for defenses, because now you have Deonta Foreman, you have Derrick Henry, who's coming back relatively healthy because he hasn't been playing. Now, there's going to be some rust there, right? Because obviously, is he in game shape? Is he conditioned enough? Can he sustain the muscle memory to have the contact balance that he had in his midseason form? These are questions we have to ask ourselves as a strength and conditioning coach. First thing I would do with Derrick Henry is I'd say, okay, so obviously you're rehabbing. Let's see how your contact core balance is. And I'll do a lot of muscular endurance training, right? We'll do strength endurance training, and then we kind of go up the levels that way. From there, it's all about muscle memory, because again, your muscles are going to remember what they can and can't do. But that's going to take time. It's not just a quick, go in the game, because you can get hurt very easily once again. So you got to be mindful of that. But hey, with or without Derrick Henry, I'm going to roll with the Tennessee Titans at home. They had a bye, which is crucial in the 7-team from each conference type of a league now, playoff bracket. And I'm just going to roll the Tennessee Titans. I just think what they did to the San Francisco 49ers in neutralizing that rushing offense was amazing. And again, they have guys like Denico Autry, right? Denico Autry came from the Indianapolis Colts. They also still have Rashaan Evans, who they declined his 5th-year option. So this is likely his last year, first-round pick out of Alabama. They have some horses there, right? And obviously they have Kevin Byard on the back end there who can patrol the secondary. So you really have guys who can really make plays on the football. So I really like what they're doing there. Bengals are going to definitely be in it. I'm not saying this is going to be a blowout, but again, if I'm not a betting man, but for entertainment purposes, I would say the Tennessee Titans come out on top. Now, will they cover that spread? I don't know. I have to see what the line is, but if all goes well, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans because I think they're going to win that ground game, keeping opposing offenses, which is the Bengals, off the football field. And I think that's their MO. And they're going to back it up by a tough defensive front seven with Bud Dupree, another former Pittsburgh Steeler, who was playing at an all-pro level before his torn ACL in Week 12 against the Baltimore Ravens last year. But Bud Dupree, you guys know who he is, right? Or you should by now. Guy's good. Very underrated. All right. Now let's move on to the Rams and the Bucs. My predictions, insider analysis, and more. All right. We have some questions coming in. We have Martin Swaza says, Niner Nation. We're Niner Empire. There is no nation. We're Niner Empire. That's why it's Don't Cross the Beast Empire. There's no Niner Nation. We leave that to the Raider Nation. We'll leave that to the Steelers Nation. We are an empire here in San Francisco. Always felt that way because the Niner Empire knows there's only one empire, and that's the Niner Empire. So, yeah. All right, so let's see what we got. Ooh, Mello, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Daniel Jr. Middleton, mahalo for the super sticker. I really appreciate the love. Really means a lot. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it. I see you here on the YouTube channel and the BWF all day long, all day strong. So thank you so much for chiming in. I really appreciate all the love and support. And again, thank you everyone for the super chat and super stickers. Like Daniel, a lot of you guys have been sending me those super chat and super stickers, and especially on Venmo through Twitter. So I have a money icon. If you guys like the tweets, I consider that work. If you guys like my work, go ahead and send me a super chat or super sticker, or go to the money icon on Twitter and you can go ahead and send a donation and tip if you would like on Twitter. It's linked to your Venmo. Everyone has Venmo. Who doesn't have Venmo these days? All right. Let's get to, thank you. Another one. Thank you so much, Mello. Thank you for the super chat and super sticker. Really appreciate it. Mahalo, hopefully I spelled it right. You did. You spelled Mahalo right. It means thank you. Guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. We need more people to support generally good people like Ryan. Thank you so much, Mel. I appreciate the love and support. Yeah, man. Echoing what you said, man. No, that's being biased, but whatever. Shameless plug. Yeah, if you guys like the work, if you like the channel, if you like the analysis, please give it a thumbs up at the very least. That is free. A thumbs up is free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It really doesn't. It's free. It takes 1 second of your time, and you're watching this for, on average, 5 minutes. So, some of you watch the whole way. I see the analytics. But I know people are like, dang, man, I'm going to get in trouble at work. I remember people were getting in trouble at work, sitting in, who was it that was in his conference room? And they were giving, they're in a production meeting or something. And he was on his phone watching it, and he forgot that his phone was on. The volume got caught up, and then the guy who was giving the presentation, like, is that the BEASTwriter? So apparently that dude was also one of the followers in the BWF. I thought that was funny, random but funny. And then he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, that guy's cool. And then here I am on this live stream. Wonder if he'll be back in here. Thank you so much, Mello. I appreciate the love. All right, so let's get to some of your questions. We have questions. Mello, you are awesome. Follow me on Twitter as well. All right. We got a lot of questions here. But let's get back to the Rams and Bucs, and I'll get to your questions. Let's just stay on topic because, again, I cover all 32 NFL teams. I'm going to be hopping on a Chicago Bears podcast, all right, for whatever, because I like covering the NFL. They asked me, a Beast, I like your Beast analysis on your YouTube channel. Can you be willing to hop on a Chicago Bears podcast with us and talk Bears? I say, you know what? I would love to do that. And Beast receipts check out. I said, Ryan Pace is probably going to be gone after this year, before the season began. I said, hey, Ryan Pace is going to make a power play move. Look, it's all on my YouTube. It's all on my Twitter. I went on Vegas. Literally, if you made this bet, you made money. I said Mac Jones is going to slip outside the top 10. The first 3 picks of the quarterback, I said that's how they're going to go. This is how the 5 quarterback picks, top 5. This is how I saw it playing out based on not what I would do, based on what I was hearing, based on what I was thinking, and my insider analysis. And it hit. All 5 hit. If you parlayed on that, you made some serious bread, which some of you guys did. You're like, oh, yeah, you sent me, oh, man, I made some money off of you on Mandalay Bay. I'm like, oh, how nice. Because I did this from Mandalay Bay when they had this little virtual setup there. I was literally on like 45 minutes before the draft starts, and they're like, hey, Beast, you're good at this. We want to know what's the one team in the first round that's going to make a splash. I said, you know what? It's going to be Ryan Pace and Chicago Bears. They're going to move up for a quarterback. Not joking. And then I said, well, Trevor Lawrence is going to go 1, Zach Wilson going to 2. I said, what I heard and what I'm feeling and what I'm hearing is Trey Lance is going to be 3. I don't care what anyone says. It's not going to be Mac Jones. And I said Mac Jones is going to slide outside the top 10. There's no team that's going to slide up inside the top 10 for Mac Jones and go to the Patriots. Boom. There you go. All right. But getting back on topic, Rams and Bucs, I think this might be a defensive struggle. Look, I know people are saying it's going to be a shootout. Some people think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a rematch of, I don't want to go to this extent, but you guys remember when the Bucs played the Rams? I think it was I think the game was down in St. Louis at the time. They were the St. Louis Rams. And I think it was like a 9-6 ball game. I think Sean King was the quarterback at that time, right? I believe John Lynch was on that team, if I remember correctly. But maybe he wasn't. But anyways, it was one of those years where it was like defensive struggle. And I was like, you know what? I think I see the same thing playing out. I think this is going to be a defensive struggle. And if I was a betting man, I'd take the under. I don't know what that is, but I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. Let me look right now. Because the line changes every single day. But here we are on a Wednesday, wacky Wednesday. And we can supply those odds. And I've been pretty good this year on, well, I was 4-2 in the wild card. Calling myself out. I was only 4-2 in the wild card games. I suck. Horrible. All right, but anyways, all right, here we go. Let's see. What are the odds? 48 and a half? Man, I'm going to take the under on that. I would take the under on the 48 and a half. It's a 2.5. Well, the line has sits. It opened up at 2.5. Now it's a 3-point spread for Tampa Bay at home, which basically they're thinking it's going to come down to an evenly matched game. It's basically a coin flip on who's going to win because the home team automatically gets 3 points by default because they're the home team. So, what it tells me is Vegas knows something. Vegas, the house always wins. So sometimes you want to go against the grain. But in this particular instance, I would say, you know what, I don't like betting against Tom Brady. I've done it once, and I swore I would never do it again. Like, you just don't bet against Tom Brady. That's just a bad thing to do. But the Rams, the way they're playing, it's going to be a defensive struggle. And I have to say, it comes down to it. I've been teetering back and forth since last night on this. I'm gonna have to go with the Bucs. I just can't go until someone can throw off the king and Tom Brady. I'm just gonna go with the Bucs, even in a close battle. Look, the guy can get rattled. I fully expect him to get somewhat rattled against the Los Angeles Rams, because they have Leonard Floyd there. They have Von Miller, who's stepping up his A game. You have Aaron Donald graded every single snap of these guys, the whole defense in general, right? You have Taylor Rapp back there. You have Jalen Ramsey. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Now, it all comes down to dominating the line of scrimmage, right? Is Tristan Wirfs going to be healthy enough to play that right side? I mean, I don't know. He looked like damaged goods once they threw him back onto the football field. You guys watched that game. Oh, crap. That ain't good. But, look. Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady, at least not yet. So I'm going to roll with the Tampa Bay Bucs in this one and take the Bucs in. And the Bucs defense is relatively healthy again, right? You got Shaq Barrett back. You got JPP back. You still have Ndamukong Suh. You have Vita Vea, who should be an all-pro if you were. In fact, I just voted for the Pro Football Writers Association because I'm a member, and I have, you guys know I have, or if you don't know, I have year-end voting rights for MVP, Comeback Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, All Rookie Team, All Pro Team. So I just submitted my vote. The deadline was today. I submitted it late last night and submitted my votes. And I'm very transparent. I'm not afraid to tell you who I picked. I do it every year and why I picked those players, because I grade every single snap of the top players around the league. But look, I will just say this. I know Aaron Rodgers, a lot of people, I think the consensus is 90% probably say, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers should be MVP. Aaron Rodgers should be MVP." I mean, look what he's working. Look who he has working with. He didn't have David Bakhtiari. He tore his ACL for the majority of the year. He came back in that Detroit Lions game. Also, Josh Myers, right? He was out. He comes back in. So you're playing Elgin Jenkins. Can't say that. Say that 3 times fast. He's been out. I mean, there's been a game of musical chairs with Lucas Patrick now moving on to the right side, and then having interior linemen playing interchangeable parts. It is just ridiculous. How he has so much success with limited talent around him. Yeah, you have Aaron Jones. Yeah, you have A.J. Dillon. I get it. But if you put any quarterback in that situation, which you saw Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers has to be the MVP. But I selected Tom Brady as the MVP. Look, he has almost 1,000 yards more passing yards, right? And I'm not just a box score reader, but I grade every single snap. Look, he also has Chris Godwin. You can make a case for Mike Evans, right? You can make a case for Rob Gronkowski. But hey, look, 1,000 yards is 1,000 yards. That's a huge difference. And then you take that and you say, well, he led the league in touchdown passes. I mean, those two things alone. And then they have one hell of a, I don't know. How do you go against Tom Brady? For me, it comes down more to than just the box scores. How he makes others better. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers does it. Aaron Rodgers is just as good as anyone in the league. I just went ahead and selected Tom Brady for MVP. All right, so there you have it. Now, will he get it? Probably not. It'll probably go to Aaron Rodgers. But hey, I don't know. Bay Area rooted kid. Brady's from the Bay Area. San Mateo, Sarah High School. My rival. Kicked us out of the CCS Championship game. Still pissed about that. Lost by 3 points. Should have been. Anyways, we could go on about that. I picked Tom Brady. Everyone's, oh, Tom Brady sucks. No. Anyone who says, oh, he's a cheater. All right, so let's get to some of your other questions in here. Ollie Baird, thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. I appreciate it. Say, hey, Ryan, glad you're here. Mahalo and aloha. Hey, Ollie, how you doing? From the 808 ICU. Mahalo for the love, bro, and support. I know you like our swag. You see how we got that? We got the hibiscus flower in there for the good vibes only. If you guys want these t-shirts, swaggy t-shirts, let me know. Holla at your boy. You see the barbell. You see the BWF logo with the 6-point star that represents integrity, trust, loyalty, honor, unity, and respect. That's why it's a 6-point star instead of a traditional 5-point star. There's meanings behind this logo, right? Obviously, you guys get the aloha vibes in there. You got the barbell in there for my fitness grind because you guys want to know about my fitness. So I've been posting that. Hey, look, I've been hesitant to post it because when I'm at the gym, I'm in the zone. I'm not one of those people that likes takes selfies. No offense. If you like taking selfies of yourself, look, I'm guilty of doing it too. Just go on my Instagram. But then again, I get paid to do it because that's like part of my 9 to 5. I get paid for those posts because it translates into money from my supplements, and from the supplements it translates into Bay Rooted. Anyways, has a domino. There's layers of the onion as we get to the core. But I'm so in the zone sometimes because my pre-workout is strong. So I'm just like pumping stuff out, and I'm just like, okay, I just want to get in, get out. I don't really like talking to people at the gym, although because I'm in the zone, and you guys know when you're chasing the pump, it's a real thing. Like when you're working out at the gym for the first half hour, 45 minutes, you're just going through the motions, really just trying to get warmed up. You know, start off on cardio maybe for 15, 20 minutes, get that blood flowing, and then you can start off and then really get into your workout. But that's just the start of it. Once I'm an hour and a half in, then I really start to chase the pump. But until then, I don't feel crap. Like I'm just trying to chase that pump, whether they're doing supersets. So by the time I want to post something, I'm like, F this, man. I'm tired as hell. I ain't doing it. But people are like, you need to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I put up some reels. I have no idea. I had no idea how Instagram reels worked. I don't even know if I did it right, but I posted 2 Instagram reels. The latest one got like, I don't know, not that many views. I think it was like only 3,000 views or something like that. I have to check this morning, but it was like, I don't know, something to that number. I don't even know if that's a good number, but hey, if it's better than 1, it's better than none, as I always like to say. So 1 is better than none. I'm a happy camper off that. And Evogen obviously liked it. My supplement company that I work with. Team Evogen, holla at your boy. People want to know what supplements to take. I take Evogen products. Evogen Nutrition, coached up by Hanya Rambad, but that's my team, right? That's my team, my team that I'm on for supplements. My team in general, like the 49ers or the Rams or Seahawks, is Team Ventura. Omar V33. You guys know who he is in South Bay. He coaches up the Olympias. The best of the best in Lucky Libra. Raymond Edmonds. You guys know who these guys are? Come on. You guys, if you guys in the fitness game, you guys definitely know who they're like equivalent to Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel. But bigger, obviously. Yeah, these guys are monsters. Monsters. All right. But thank you so much for the super chat and super sticker. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get to some of your questions. Mello says, I feel the Rams win was a bit misleading, mainly because having the Arizona Cardinals been on a downward spiral. Yeah, Arizona Cardinals, what the heck is going on, Cliff Kingsbury? You are good in the first half of the season, and then you drop so far off in the second half of the season. What are we doing, as Julian Edelman would say? Which, by the way, I almost took off my shirt in the cold. If you guys haven't seen it, Julian Edelman, I was watching the game outside in like I don't know what the weather was. I think it's 6-degree weather. Watching the Patriots-Bills game, I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. Julian Edelman of Inside the NFL. You guys got to follow this guy. This guy's a real deal. Bay Area rooted, obviously. Grew up here in the Bay Area, just like myself. Just like I'm on here right now. But in my opinion, he's quickly climbing up my draft boards. I don't say this about too many people. As one of the top, I put him in the top 5 analysts right now. He just climbing and I mean, Julian Edelman is so fun to watch. You got to have that charisma, right? You got to have that presence, right? If you don't have that presence, you're just going to be like boring. Like if I'm on right here, people might think I'm boring, but which is probably why I'm not like on ESPN. No, I'm joking. But look, if you're just talking like, oh yeah, the Rams and the Niners have a monotone, it ain't gonna work. At least I don't think it is. But you can have that voice and still provide great analysis. So it's just kind of like whatever works with you, I guess. But for me, I think to be on TV, you have to have that persona, so to speak. You have to have that. There's an it factor that comes along with it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I know, like when I fitness model, you can't. Same thing applies. Like you have to have that. You can't just go in like turn this way and then look like this and then take a burst set of shots. No, the photographer is going to be like, dude, what are we doing? Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks. I'm telling you that right now. It's definitely not easy as it looks. Bigfoot's mom says, I'll send you a Niner sticker. I'll beast. He's like, do you have an IG? I do have an IG. It's called BEASTwriter. Same thing. Same Instagram handle as my Twitter and YouTube. Kevin Stefanski says, hello, chat. I don't think this is the real Kevin Stefanski, but he says, hello, chat. Come play for me. All right. Kevin Stefanski. This is obviously probably not the Kevin Stefanski. If it is, that would be really interesting, but I highly doubt it is. But if it is, hi, Kevin. How you doing? Pleasure to meet you. Richard Pera, and I do have coaches obviously on here watching it, but they would never, well, I shouldn't say never. There's some of them chime in on different aliases, so that's why they don't have an avatar picture. Only I would know who they are, obviously, because they're my friends. Do you think our corners are getting better? Richard Para. I don't think it's as much as them getting better as it is as the opposing offenses not taking advantage of what's given to them. And what I mean by that, and Sean Salisbury talked about it, I talked about it, Randy Cross has talked, we all talk about it. I mean, look, you want to know the real gritty? People who push the narrative saying that boundary quarterbacks are getting better, you're doing yourself a disservice. Look at the coach's film, right? Talk to some of these guys who actually done it for years. Don't take my word for it, but take their word for it. And they're echoing the same thing I'm saying. Hey, Beast, you're right. You ain't wrong. Why did CeeDee Lamb only have one catch in that game? He was matched up one-on-one outside the numbers more times than not. If you attack Ambry Thomas more times than not, you will be successful. Now, Ambry Thomas, given credit where credit is due, he has improved. So to your point, yes, Ambry Thomas has improved. But is it enough for me to still not attack him? No, I'm still going after him because he still gave up a touchdown in that Rams game. Wasn't really battle tested in that Cowboys game, really, right? They didn't really throw it at him. I have to watch the coach's film again, but I didn't see much of it. And so, as long as a defensive front seven continues to push the pocket from the interior, I think that's going to be helping out the secondary. And there's nothing about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But let's move on. Let's talk about the Bills and the Chiefs, right? Let's talk about the Bills and the Chiefs. Predictions, my analysis. Look, it's hard to go against the Chiefs at home. They have arguably the loudest crowd in the entire NFL. Sorry, Seahawks fans. I know you guys are up there, but the Chiefs are right up there too. And that's going to hold leverage in them pulling out this victory. But when you have a Bills team that just imposes their will, I think they scored, 6 consecutive touchdowns or something? That's 6 or 7 touchdown drives against a Bill Belichick-led team. Who does that? Nobody. So I think that was a statement game for the Buffalo Bills, even without Tre'Davious White, who was graded as a first-team All-Pro in my grading system before he tore his ACL against the New Orleans Saints in that Thanksgiving game. Look, we still have Jordan Poyer. We still have Micah Hyde. We still have healthy horses up front. We still have Gregory Rousseau. We still have some of these hogs up front to where, hey, look, man, We still have Tremaine Edmonds, our first round pick. Not a lot of people talk about him, but hey, that guy can hit, right? Who's Tremaine Edmonds? It's Terrell Edmonds' brother who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? So, who, by the way, the Steelers did not pick up his fifth-year option, just like the Tennessee Titans didn't pick up Rashaan Evans' fifth-year option. But, whatever. Buffalo Bills going into Kansas City. It's going to be a tough matchup. I had Kansas City going to the Super Bowl. I thought it was going to be a rematch of Super Bowl I, Chiefs and Packers. That was before the wild card picture was shaping up. Like, to be honest with you, am I so confident that the Packers are going to beat the Niners? I'm not so confident about that. I think the Niners might very well just outright beat them. I don't care. Yes, having a right shoulder sprain, a torn ligament in the thumb, that's a huge problem. So ultimately, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But when it comes to this game, Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, look, you have Tyreek Hill there. You still have Travis Kelce, two of the best, cream of the crop at their respective positions. Although George Kittle was my first team All-Pro selection, probably won't get there. It's probably going to be Mark Andrews, who led all tight ends in receiving yards and so forth. And I like Mark Andrews. I think he's a beast in his own right. But best all-around tight end, George Kittle. But anyways, getting back to it, they still have Travis Kelce there. Tyreek Hill. You still have Creed Humphrey, that rookie sensation coming out of Oklahoma. Check out the beast receipts. I said every team that passed up on him was a freaking, that needed an interior guard or even a center. Wow, you're reaching for need diminishing the value of pick with some of these other guys that you got, and he kind of fell in their laps. Same with Nick Bolton. I thought that was a good pickup for them. Look, Kansas City Chiefs are a team. Tyrone Matthews still there, my first team All-Pro selection. He didn't make AP first team All-Pro, but in the PFWA definitely gets my vote. He should be graded every single snap of him, as well as the top safeties in the league. He graded out the highest of any safety in this league. All right, number one, Tyrone Matthews. So Honey Badger, I know you like my stuff. I know you watch some of my stuff sometimes. So if you're watching, hey, I told you I got your back. Same with Cam Hayward, beast in his own right. But yeah, I just don't. It's hard to go against Kansas City at home. It really is. I mean, Pat Mahomes is going to be Pat Mahomes. But the Buffalo Bills, there's something about them, and they're my midseason pick. They have Stephon Diggs there. How can you go against Stephon Diggs? The guy is so good at route running. It's just really, really tough. I'm going to have to... This is crazy. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think that home field might be a little bit too much. But something tells me if the Bills win, obviously I don't think it'd surprise anyone because I think a lot of people are picking the Bills to win straight up. So this is definitely a coin flip, guys. And if you're playing the odds, because obviously the Bills are slightly underdogs, I would take the money on the Bills to win straight up. That's just me. But because the odds are in your favor. But I'm just going to roll with the Kansas City Chiefs at home. I just think the home team's going to win. I see a rematch of Super Bowl I, Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs, which brings me to obviously the San Francisco 49ers. Look, this is the one that we all wanted to talk about, and I'm going to talk about it. All right. I talked about this on my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. If you guys have not yet subscribed to my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, it's similar to like ESPN, Disney Plus. I just added the Plus to BEASTwriter. Same type of subscription-based model where you pay a little bit extra if you want a little bit extra. Because the Beast is always extra. But no, I break it down. I break it down. Some of you guys that are watching this, you guys saw my BEASTwriter analysis on it, on how you can attack the 49ers rush defense. We saw it with the Tennessee Titans. We saw it with the Cincinnati Bengals, right? The formula for success for beating the San Francisco 49ers from a defensive schematic standpoint. And it broke down 5 important things. And again, I graded every single snap across the board in the landscape of the entire NFL. And I think when you do that, you can kind of gain a broader understanding of personnel groupings, how they would use that personnel groupings, similar to what Kyle Shanahan's going to do. Because again, you have to look at it from a pro player personnel standpoint. They always have, every NFL team has that guy that runs the formations with their tendencies, their biases, and then if you want to take the additional layer, as we peel back layers of the onion to get to the core, as I always like to say, then they will have them go up to the film room right? And say, okay, look, on this plane ride back, just look up. You have the data on the plays for the week in advance. Now let's go ahead and let's see what we can see on film. What are they doing on film? Are there any tells that we can provide so we can kind of give our guys a pre-snap read so they can read their keys? If they see something, then they can audible a little bit different or play their splits a little bit different based on outside zone versus inside zone. A lot of different things. But yeah, look, I think that I'm not going to go too much in detail because it'll be a disservice to people in the BEASTwriter Plus, but it'll also be a disservice to you guys on YouTube for being loyal subscribers. So I'm going to break it down in layman terms for you. Look, the Green Bay Packers need to implement a bear front. A bear front is where you have 3 defensive linemen, because they play in that 34 base odd man front style of defense, lined up, heads up, to take away the inside zone runs and counters. I think it all starts there. The meat and potatoes has to start up front with Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry, and Kiki Kingsley. All right? So you have those 3 guys for the Green Bay Packers lined up across the board. And then what you want to do is you want to use kind of like what defensive backs and the secondary coaches use when they're kind of playing prevent defense. They have 5 across the board on the back end. Well, you're going to do what's called the inverse, right? So you're going to have 5 guys, instead of being on the back end, be up front. So then you have your 2 outside linebackers because they're playing that 34 base defense, which means you have an extra linebacker in that role, in that base defense. Now, if they're in the 4-2-5 nickel defense, we can talk about that. Whatever the case may be. But you're going to have 2 outside linebackers, right, in their base defense lined up on the line of scrimmage. And what you're doing that is now you're forcing the 49ers' hand, because if they try to run outside zone runs, whatever the side may be, you have that pre-snap leverage accounted for. If that outside linebacker can box and spill accordingly to the read that's being given. What I mean by that is, usually if you're in a 3-4 base defense and you're playing a traditional pinch front, right? Just like on the offensive side, you see a wide 9, you're going to want to pinch those interior defensive linemen, which is why the A and B gaps are wide open. Sometimes the C gaps are open too, depending on how wide the defensive end is. Same thing applies on the other side of the football. So if you're playing a bear front and you have 5 guys across the line, right? That outside linebacker has to be mindful to box that play back inside, because that's basically what you want to do, inside to your help. Or if you spill that play, forcing that running back to now hit the outside gap outside of that C gap or D gap, wherever that gap is, then you're forcing the boundary cornerback, who's probably blocked up by a strong wide receiver like Jawan Jennings or Deebo Samuel, even Brandon Ayuk, to shed that block and make a play in open space. That's a tough task to ask of any boundary cornerback, because let's face it, cornerbacks are usually called up to cover, not maintain their run fit integrity in outside zone runs. Right? But if you're a smart boundary cornerback, you're going to want to use the sideline as an extra defender. So you would want to cheat inside, flush that play back outside. So now you see Elijah Mitchell trying to hit the C gap, nope. Trying to hit the D gap, nope. And then goes all the way around. Then you have the sideline as extra defender. So now it's a 2-by-1 concept. The problem is Elijah Mitchell is really, really fast. The problem is there's different rules of engagement from outside zone runs when it comes to Kyle Shanahan's scheme. And I talked about this in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. Look, Kyle Juszczyk is going to be the X factor in this ballgame. And I tell you why. Not because he's going to be catching any passes, but because of how they're going to use him in the running game and out of the flats as a pass catcher, keeping defenses honest. When you have Kyle Juszczyk in the backfield, it really helps out your offensive tackles, because usually in an outside zone run, if you don't have a strong fullback and you go 11 personnel, let's say, that offensive tackle is going to have to hit the second level backer. But by having Juszczyk there, you're making life easier for the offensive tackle, because now all he really has to do is down block or seal block the outside edge defender, and that will force Kyle Juszczyk, who's lined up in the I formation, whatever the case may be, whatever formation in the backfield you want to call it, he can then take on that second level backer, and then you're off and running. See, to ask any offensive tackle to hit the second level on the backer, you have problems. In fact, I graded every single snap let's talk about the draft here, right? Because again, I got an early start on the draft back in September, grading every single snap of Evan Neal. What I see in Evan Neal's game, and he did improve from last year, graded every single snap of Evan Neal, arguably the best offensive tackle in this year's draft classes. He is not as mobile hitting that second level. He has improved from last year to this year, and he's very athletic for a guy of his size. But to ask him to move in space against a guy who runs a 4.5, 4.54, or even a 4.6, if the guy has good lateral movement on the second level, I don't care how good you are, Evan Neal, you don't have the lateral agility to pancake that guy or seal off that guy, because he can just cut back the other way, and you don't have the oily hips, as they would say, to go ahead and make that play backside. So I like how the Packers, and you've seen this in the 2019 Nfc Championship game, and then you also saw it as I was running grades in the Green Bay Packers 49ers matchup in week 3. You see that Packers using that bare front. Now remember, Zadarius Smith has been injured. Is he going to be active? Because now you have a trio of outside linebackers with speed who can really set the edge. But those guys have to win their one-on-one battles. Not only do they have to flush plays back inside, but more times than not, they're going to have to stack and shed that block and make plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. And then on top of that, you have Kyle Shanahan who says, okay, you're going to cheat your splits. That's stupid because we're going to run a counter, right? So then you can run counters off of their counter. So now in a game of checkers, in a game of chess, and you play checkers, it's going to be checkmate before it's all said and done. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best at scheming things up. It's just like in the game of basketball, right? If you have a defense that cheats, right, they're playing man-to-man coverage all the way across, but then you have a guy who just tries to go for the steal 9 times out of 10, well, you can backdoor that play all game long. You use his leverage against him. Same thing applies in football. It's all about spacing, guys. And if you don't have the proper spacing and don't know where your help is, you're going to be lost in the shuffle. Even in your man-to-man concepts in the ROE, rules of engagement, there are still rules that apply. For instance, we talk about the wide 9 of the 49ers defense. Well, let's talk about that wide 9, so to speak, on the 49ers offense. You have George Kittle. If they're using a bare front, which the Packers will likely do, having 5 men across, and you get past that first wave, man, Elijah Mitchell's going to be off to the races and could be making a house call, him or Deebo Samuel, because you can run a counter off Deebo Samuel, off a reverse, off an end around, or so forth. Because you're using the Packers' leverage against them and going across the grain to the other side. So now, when you talk about keeping defenses honest, they have to play it honest. But it only works if they can impose their will down in the trenches against the Packers, which I think they can. Now, you have Kenny Clark there. Very underrated, just like Vita Vea. Nose tackle, doesn't get all the hype or the other love. UCLA product, first-round pick. Kenny Clark is a beast in his own right. Graded every single snap ahead. The guy is playing at an all-pro level. Now, will he make all-pro? Probably not. Didn't get my vote. But, which people are saying, what's your votes? I'm going to release that on my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. Also talk about it here on YouTube, but in a little bit later in another YouTube live stream. But it goes to show you how so many teams have built themselves to protect the pass instead of solidifying the run. And in that 34 base defense, it all starts with the running game. And I talked about this from day one, right? Before the season began, it's like, look, I don't care how many pass rushers you have. If you can't get to third down, it doesn't mean jack squat anyways. So you need to stop the run on first and second down to even get that third down for that edge rusher to even make a presence. Now you can get 1 or 2 sacks here and there, spot sacks, but more times than not, it's going to be a running play, right? I just think this matchup is going to come down to the trenches. Can the 49ers offensive line impose their will, winning their leverage, winning their splits, and really making life difficult for the Green Bay Packers defensive front seven? On the flip side of that, it's up to the defensive line of the Green Bay Packers to say, hey, look, we're going to help reset this line of scrimmage. We're going to impose our will, and we're going to have 5 guys up there, and we're just going to live and die with that bare front. And again, that bare front is where you have 3 defensive linemen lined up on the guards and centers, heads up respectively. Now, if that defensive end is lined up anywhere near outside the tackle or somewhere there, not heads up, mano-a-mano on the interior guard, then it's not a bare front anymore, right? So that's how I see it playing out. Again, if I'm the Green Bay Packers, that's one thing I would do. Another thing I would do against the San Francisco 49ers is another thing I would do. I got some call there. Another thing I would do against San Francisco 49ers, I would force Jimmy Garoppolo to throw it 30 plus times. And I talked about this in my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, right? I talked about going and forcing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw it 30 plus times. When you do that, Jimmy Garoppolo all time is 14-10. I talked about this in my newsletter. Not going to go and talk too much about it, but he's 3-4 this season. All right, let's peel back layers of the onion to get to the core. He's 14-10 on the 49ers when he throws 30 plus times, but he's 3-4 this year. That's a losing record. Peel back another layer of the onion to get to the core. He would otherwise be 1-4 because 2 of those times they won in overtime. So it's coming down to the wire. And again, I'm looking at my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter here. If I'm the Packers, I'm doing everything to just limit the trick plays, stop the run, and then play honest defense with a sizable lead. That's how you make the 49ers offense one-dimensional. Because if the Packers are playing from ahead and not from behind, Jimmy Garoppolo has no choice to throw. And look, he has a right shoulder sprain. All right, you guys know I'm dealing with a torn rotator cuff. Right, it's not my throwing hand, but or throwing arm, but I have a slightly torn rotator cuff. I played with a subluxation dislocated shoulder before. I played with a shoulder sprain before. And not even play quarterback. It's hard. Like, it's hard to make a tackle. It's hard to wrap up. It's hard to squeeze through the thighs. It's very difficult. In fact, you're overcompensating to one side. When you play quarterback, and I never played quarterback before, so I'm not going to act like I'm a quarterback guru, but what I can say is the tolerance for pain level, I have a high tolerance for pain level. And if I was Jimmy Garoppolo and that's my throwing hand or throwing arm, and then on top of that, you compound that with a compound fracture and then a fractured thumb and torn ligaments in the thumb in the same arm in the same hand, now your damaged goods just goes through the roof. Now, the drawback is, okay, so do you roll with Trey Lance? Look, I would roll with Trey Lance if Jimmy Garoppolo is not 100% healthy and he can't make those throws. I would throw, but then again, what's the drawback in the game plan from Kyle Shanahan? Because let's face it, they're going to solidify the run first. And if Jimmy Garoppolo gives him the best chance to win and he only has to throw it 17 times in this ballgame, 15 to 17 times in this ballgame, and they still pull out a victory, you live with that. You live with that, whether it be Trey Lance behind center or me behind center. I'm only throwing it 15, 17 times. Okay, cool story. Like, we're running it 45 times. So it doesn't matter who's behind center. It could be CJ Beathard, who's no longer on the team. It could be freaking you, who's not even on the team. It could be me. I'm not even on the team. Look, if we're only throwing it a handful of times, it really don't matter. Especially if we win the time of possession game, because odds are Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to put the game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands anyways. The keys to the Ferrari and the engine that makes that offense go is their rushing attack. The Green Bay Packers understand this. So that's why I say, you know what? Let's force Jimmy Garoppolo to throw it 30 plus times. Let's run a cover 1 or a cover 3. Have an extra box defender as that strong safety climbing up to that hit that box and be that extra run defender on the outside zone runs, inside zone runs, and that way we're limiting yards after contact. And again, that's another huge thing we can talk about because, again, the team that is most fundamentally sound, and we talk about this because at the end of the day, it comes down to fundamentals. In a game of inches in football, where every inch counts, everything is exponentially greater, you have to limit yards after contact and bring down ball carriers on initial contact. The Niners' offense is predicated on missed tackles or forced missed tackles by next-gen stats, as you would say. They do a lot of using your lateral agility against you. So if you're leveraging one way and you could just cut back the other way and have some blockers in front of you to seal off those guys, that's an extra 6-7 yards. If you can't make that tackle in open space, good luck. That's why the Green Bay Packers did a really good job against the San Francisco 49ers in week 3 in wrapping up, limiting yards after contact. That's why the Tennessee Titans did a really good job in limiting yards after contact. If you can limit the yards after contact, whether hitting Elijah Mitchell or Deebo Samuel in open space, George Kittle, right? He has that mean stiff arm. You have a chance. And so I think these are things that you need to look forward to. Now, there's 5 of them. I'm only going to break down 3 because the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, if you guys want more of that more of that beast analysis, be sure to subscribe there. And you guys can do that. I'll put up the banner here. Just head over to BEASTwriterNFL.com. And that's my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. It's a subscription-based model. So for a monthly fee, you guys can go ahead and see everything that I had to say with my BWF game grades. Also, if you want specifically a grade on the player, I will go ahead and provide that for you, and we can work out, obviously, just send me a tip and we can negotiate on the tip. Obviously, that's a lot of work on the back end for grading one specific player, because obviously I can't grade every single player. But if you want to grade on a player, I can go ahead and get that over to you as well. So that's pretty much it. You know, the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter broke it down. A lot of different reasons why you should play cover 3, cover 1, why you can't play a 2-deep high safety look, because odds are Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be throwing it deep, and if he can, is he going to hit that window anyways? Look, if you have a single high safety and you have Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage on the back end, I'm living and dying with that. I'm cool with that. I'll live and die with the results. But I'm going to bring up one of those guys. Usually it'll be Adrian Amos, because I like Darnell Savage as free safety. I'm going to bring one of those guys up as an extra box defender and take away the run first, because it's what the Niners do best, right? You wouldn't go into a game and not going to what you do best. You wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't do that. It just doesn't make sense. So take away what they do best and then make them one-dimensional. All right. Forktail Devil P38G says, "Yo, Beast, you think we can run the ball and pressure sack Rodgers more than last game?" I do, because Elijah Mitchell's in the game. If you guys forgot, Trey Sermon was the starting running back Week 3 versus the Green Bay Packers. Here's some food for thought. Obviously, I run grades. Jair Alexander, my first team All-Pro selection last year, was also out. He's been out for a very long time because of his injury. So he was the guy who picked off Jimmy Garoppolo coming from the numbers and then going backside to make a play on the ball. That was even his assignment, by the way. He was just neglecting his own coverage and just read the play and had the range to go ahead and make a play on the football. Otherwise, that would have been a catch from George Kittle. All right, so that's why I said you can't really blame Jimmy Garoppolo on that, because that was just a great play by an All-Pro. But getting back to it, there's some beast analysis for you if you guys remember it. But getting back to it, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, the Niners can run the ball. Absolutely. I mean, you break it down, and Shanahan's going to have counters on counters. Like I said, you can run fullback counters. You can run inside zone runs counters, outside zone run counters. I mean, you can use a team's leverage against them. What it comes down to is execution. Can these offensive linemen of the 49ers sustain their blocks against this 3-4 defensive front? Because they have had trouble. And again, when you have a guy and you go up against a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, Kenny Clark, they've had problems, right? Even Cam Hayward, dating back to 2019, they've had problems with these guys, right? These guys who can just move people in space, being a 2-gap space eater, right? Can read and react and kind of hold their edge and set the edge. Usually in a 4-3 defensive tackle position, as an IDL, interior defensive lineman, you're usually 1-gapping, right? But when you have a guy who can also 2-gap, you're not a one-trick pony anymore. You're not scheme dependent. In fact, you can ask that guy who sets a hard edge to say, hey, look, can you play both gaps? Can you play the C gap and can you play the B gap? If the guy says, I can play both, I'm just going to read and react to what the running back does, or based on my keys up front, how they're blocking, and I can kind of see that play before it develops. You have something going for you, because then that teaches you, the second level backers, to say, hey, look, going into this game plan, if you have the B and C gap and you're telling me just to hit that C gap to box them in and spill them back inside to help, or box them in to help and not spill them outside because I'll take out that spill, now you have something going for you. And I think that's, if the Tampa Bay Bucs make it that far and they face the Niners, let's say in the NFC Championship game, I think that's going to give them the toughest break, because that defensive front seven with that speed, with the way they can move in space, with the space eaters up front with Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, arguably the two best interior defensive lineman combo in the NFL, they can give the Niners problems in that outside-inside zone run. But can they hold off the LA Rams? I don't know. That's going to be a close game. What's up, G says, despite the 49ers on a short week and Green Bay on essentially a 2-week bye, I'm calling all road teams winning this week. Oh! So my man, what's up, G? We talk every day. this is my boy. He's on YouTube. He's on Twitter. Huge supporter here in the BWF. Met him here, actually, on YouTube. Says, despite the 49ers on a short week and Green Bay on essentially a 2-week bye, I'm calling all road teams winning this week. Wow. So, we talked about this. I'm picking the Niners, bro. No, I'm picking Green Bay. I guess I got to pick Green Bay. You know what? I don't got to guess. I got to pick. It's hard. I can see the Niners winning this game. I'm taking the Niners and the spread. I don't care what that spread is. I'm going to take the Niners. I don't like going against the Niners, but I call it how I see it. And look, back in 2019 when I said the Green Bay Packers were going to beat the San Francisco 49ers at home coming off that bye, and then the freaking Niners just blew them out of the water, and then in 2019, and I was wrong about that, so that beats receipt, I was wrong. And then the NFC Championship game back in 2019, I said this is going to be a blowout by the San Francisco 49ers. It's not going to be even close. To be honest with you, I didn't even watch half the game because I already knew what was going to happen. It's one of those games where I just knew. My gut was telling me one thing, and also my brain was telling me another, and it all confirmed and it all pointed in the similar trend. So I was like, yeah, it's not going to be a close game. It wasn't a close game. And they won. This game, here we are. This is the third go-around, third time's the charm. I'm 1-1 in predicting Packer-Niner games since 2019. 2020, obviously, I said the Packers were going to win that game. That's not a surprise. So I guess I'm 2-1 against that. I'm going to have to say the Packers as well. I just think the Packers and Aaron Rodgers having essentially a 2-week bye, coming off a short week, is going to be tough. You look at the injury with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Look, those guys, I'm not going to doubt those guys. Those guys have a heart of a lion. They're going to be ready to play. Bosa's going to be playing. I just don't see how he's not going to be playing. If he doesn't play, that's going to be a huge blow to them. In fact, if Bosa's not playing, it means Eric Armstead has to step up. And look, I've been highly critical of Eric Armstead. I have. But I keep it 100. In the last few games, he's been playing really well. Right? But again, consistency is key in the NFL. Can he hold up that consistency with or without Bosa? That will be something to look forward to. Because again, even if he finishes strong, he still had a downward year overall. Because again, if you look at the first, 14 games of the year, he's been non-existent. Or 15 games. We're in a 17-game schedule. 15 games, for that matter. But, hey, we'll see. We have Payo Time LA Rams YouTuber in the house. He says, hello, BW BEASTwriter. Hello, what's going on, man? I see you. Thank you, and mahalo for the love. All right, so what else we got here? Question, do you think Cooper Kupp can have over 100 yards versus the Bucs? This is a prop bet that people have been asking me about. I know, my man. What's up, G? We love talking lines and stuff, but just for fun. But is Cooper Kupp going to have 100 yards against the Bucs? That, in the playoffs, I always think that the defense just shows up. Anytime you have a guy against Cooper Kupp and say, look, man, like, if there's one guy we're not going to let it beat us, it's going to be Cooper Kupp. Right? They don't have Robert Woods there. He's out for the year. Obviously, you got Cam Akers back. That's going to help out with the running game. So you can't solely rely on. I just don't see Cooper Kupp getting 100 yards. Now watch him get 100 yards. I don't know. I would say take the under if for entertainment purposes. If I had to take a prediction. Fortell Devil says DJ Jones will be crucial. Yes, DJ Jones is definitely going to be crucial. Another first-team All-Pro level type of a player, similar to like what Kenny Clark is, Vita Vea. He's not scheme dependent. He can play in a 3-4 base as a nose tackle or 4-3 front. In fact, no, you could put him at. You could put actually DJ Jones as a 3-4 defensive end as well. But I see a similar guy to like a Javon Hargrave. Remember when Javon Hargrave back in 2019? He was playing nose tackle, and then in 2020 he got shipped off. He left in free agency because he's transitioning to a 4-3 front. Eagles picked him up, and now he's a defensive tackle, teaming up with Fletcher Cox there. I see the similar situation with DJ Jones. I mean, are they going to re-sign him? I don't know, but hey, it doesn't matter what personnel you have. If you're a 3-4 team or a 4-3 team, you can plug and play DJ Jones in any given spot, whether it be the 3 technique or the 0 technique, or even the 4 technique. So I really see DJ Jones as being an integral part, and he should be a first-team All-Pro. He should be in the Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowl type of a player for sure, hands down. And my grading system checks out. Graded every single snap. As I say, I'm great. All the defensive players graded every single snap of them. So DJ Jones was the highest graded defensive player this year. Very, 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 very good. Uh, Aaron Harris says, I'm going Bills and 49ers. The Berman Bowl. Chris Berman. Yes, that's his two favorite teams. All right. Let's see. Myron Sanchez says, watch Kittle go all out Saturday. Yeah, I don't see that being a problem. I think George Kittle is going to have one hell of a game. Look, I think he had like 92 yards or something like that on 7 catches in their week 3 matchup, if I'm not mistaken. But I think Kittle's going to go off for 7 catches for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I really do. So if they're, again, if you're looking at matchups, because NFL is a game about matchups. Now, Devondre Campbell had a rest day, right? He didn't play against the Detroit Lions. So essentially he had 2 weeks off, like Jeff alluded to earlier. Half of the starters for the Green Bay Packers had the whole entire half off. They didn't take out their starters till the start of the fourth quarter. Now, they had to have Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage back in there for the majority of the game because they only kept 3 safeties active for that game. But aside from that, and the offensive linemen, of course, played their part. They played the majority of the game. But I think that was more to get mental reps for David Bakhtiari and Josh Myers in there too. So, and then also seeing how Lucas Patrick can transition from center to guard. So you kind of build continuity there in a meaningless game, but you still get game day reps, right? You still get live reps as we talk about. Practice reps and game day reps are two different things and parameters that we talk about because, again, if you played competitive sports and you played high school or college or whatever the case may be, even at the NFL level, we always talk about the good practice squad players, right? The good practice players who play good in practice, but on game days are nowhere to be seen. It's like, dude, why did you do so well in practice, but when the lights come on, you suck it up, dude? Like, you garbage, bro. Like, that's a real thing. I'm telling you. There's people who look like all-stars and all-pros in practice, and I seen it when I covered the team. I'm like, man, this guy is looking really good. How come he can't get it up? Well, the guy's a practice squad player. Ryan Shue says, let's go Niners. What is wrong with the Las Vegas Raiders, and why did the Las Vegas Raiders lose? Why did the Las Vegas Raiders lose to the Bengals? Oh, you can blame Jerome Boger for that. I've been highly critical of Jerome Boger. Look, since the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, where he should wrote an article about it as when I was the editor of the Niner Noise website on the Fansided Network. I was the editor-in-chief of that website. I said, you know what? I'm going to write this article. No one's talking about. And I said why the NFL refs were Super Bowl MVP. Sorry, Ray Lewis, but they were. They were. If I remember correctly, I believe the guy was Kerry Williams. There was a scuffle, and Kerry Williams actually pushed a referee. He should have been thrown out the game. There was another holding penalty on fullback Kyle Juszczyk on a kick return or a punt return, one of those. I think it was a kick return, and no call. Blatant. There's so many calls, and look, I looked at both sides. I'm very fair, because I wouldn't have written that article if I wasn't. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a homer take. No, I kept it fair, and it was totally one-sided. Jerome Boger just seems to do those things. Look at my beast receipts on Twitter. Called him out since 2011 or 2012. Nothing has changed because we're going all the way up. All right. Let's see what Ollie Bear says. I went and watched the playoff game against Green Bay from 2013, including 1 year with Beathard. It is very encouraging. Yeah. Paul G says, I don't think Bosa will play. Wow. Paul G says, I don't think Bosa will play. I think Bosa is going to play. Look, he's in concussion protocol, but he's going to play. If he doesn't play, then you know it's really bad. Like, obviously, it's already really bad. I mean, anytime someone has a concussion, it's bad. Like, I think that's obvious. But bad enough to where he can't play? Oof. That's interesting. I think Bosa plays. If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Bosa to play. Now watch me be wrong. Myron Sanchez, when will we know if Bosa is playing? Well, it all depends. I mean, he was a non-participant yesterday. Today is Wednesday, so usually they kind of go through film now because they're on a short week now, right? So what they typically do on a Tuesday, they now pushed up to Wednesday. Thursday, is when we're really going to know. Because if he's limited today, or if he's in some capacity, or if he's still in concussion protocol today, there's something to be had there. But if he's limited participant or an LP designation, that's a good sign. That means he's likely to play. I'm just saying, likely to play. I mean, I've been following the team. I know people, talk to people. If he's an LP, he's good to play. If he's an LP tomorrow, that's good. That's another good sign. If he's a full participant, even better. Anytime you get that FP designation, you're good to go. You're good to go. Now, he has to clear concussion protocol, right? There is something that we talked about here in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. So I already outlined that for you guys in the preseason analysis on if someone has a concussion, what is the protocol on that? If someone has COVID, what's the protocol on that? So I broke that down for you in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter that you see below. So just subscribe, www.beastwriternfl.com, if you want that extra Beast analysis exclusively here in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. All right. So Forktail Devil P38 says, Chiefs O-line was holding like crazy in that Super Bowl. The refs had me losing my crap. Yeah, you know what? Like, I think it goes both ways. And you can make a case that every top edge defender, because I run grades, man. I mean, I just voted for the PFWA, Pro Football Writers Association, have year-end voting rights for first team All-Pro, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Executive of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year. And I grade every single snap of the landscape of the entire NFL. And look, every top edge defender gets held. Every top edge defender gets chipped. This is how it is. Ask TJ Watt. Right? And so when you talk about that Super Bowl and then people point out certain clips, I was like, hey, Chris Jones was held a lot too. So was Frank Clark. So no one talks about that. Well, Chiefs fans do. But it goes both ways. I think it goes both ways. It's just a matter of how much is willing to be called. Now, if it's totally one-sided where one guy's getting held and getting the calls and the other side's not, then we have an issue. Then it's not even. Then it's not, no, man, you're kind of being biased towards something. You do not like the Niners or something? Like, what's up with that? You know? What's up with that? So, yeah. Myron Sanchez says, will Trey Lance play in this game? Look, I would love to see Trey Lance play in this game simply because if this is a blowout, which it could very well be if Jimmy Garoppolo is not 100%, which he's not, he's going to be at best. You're going to get a 75% Jimmy Garoppolo. So take that for what it's worth. He might throw a pick or two, and that could be the difference in winning or losing this ball game. He might try not to live to play another down and get hit on the blind side and have a strip sack by Zadarius Smith or Preston Smith or Rashawn Gary screaming off the edge and staring down his receiver. And instead of staring down his receiver and not trying to manipulate the pocket, trying not to throw the ball out of bounds, he tries to make a play and all of a sudden the ball is stripped from behind or in front and he can't grip it because that thumb's messed up. It has a torn ligament there. Really can't feel that thumb. Has a sprained shoulder on top of that, so he's going to have to, like, ready for impact on the way to the ground because he doesn't want to re-injure it worse than it already is. These are problems, man. I mean, think about it. If you're stepping up to throw the football, I'd be scared. But we all have to see. Brandon Iwane says, I think the Packers will stack the box and force the game and Jimmy G hands to win the game. Yep, basically make him force it 30 plus times. Talk about this in the BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. What you want to do is play a cover 3, cover 1 shell. You can even play, there's different rules of engagement with the cover 1 single high safety now, right? You can have a rat player, you can have a hole player, you can have a spy, you can have a robber. And you can also have different ROE, rules of engagement, depending on how you want to confuse Jimmy Garoppolo pre to post snap. So there's different things you can do on the back end to really kind of screw him up in his head. And look, he's not very good at reading cover shells from pre to post snap. How many times and how many of those interceptions do you see that strong safety come up and be the robber and now it's a cover 1? Or even come up and be an extra curl hook defender and now it's a cover 3? How many times have we seen Jimmy Garoppolo throw right to the underneath defender because he wasn't anticipating that underneath defender to go into that zone coverage as a curl flat defender, coming to the flat? How many times have we seen Jimmy Garoppolo throw it deep, only to find out that that boundary cornerback had the zone coverage and the speed and the range to make a play on the football as an MOF. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm not very confident, but again, I have to see how Jimmy Garoppolo does in practice. I have to watch some film on him in practice. I have to talk to some people because, look, he's going to gut it out. He's gutted it out already this year. The guy's tough. Anybody who says Jimmy Garoppolo is not tough, he's tough. I mean, you try playing with a sprained shoulder and a torn right ligament in your thumb and then have the success. Even though he's a game manager, that's still, I mean, for him just to see the field and play at that level and make those throws when he did make those throws, he's tough. He's tough. I would challenge anyone to get a sprained shoulder, get a torn ligament in your thumb, and let's see how you do under pressure in a must-win game. Everything can be said from the outside perspective and say, look, oh man, it's like, bro, the guy is playing beat up. Who do we blame for that? Kyle Shanahan? For not putting in Trey Lance? I mean, that's another thing we can talk about, right? All right. Let's get to some of your questions. There's some questions over on Twitter too. Let me just get to some of your questions on Twitter. Mr. NVR Late says, BEASTwriter, hey, love all the content and big fan of you, but my question to you is, how do you tag Rodgers? Yes, I get hit Rodgers. He gets in all tizzy and makes mistakes. What would you do or tendency to do to beat him? Look, I just said, to beat Aaron Rodgers, it starts with that defensive front seven. Games are won down in the trenches. My line of thinking has not changed and will not change. I just think that defensive front seven needs to get pressure organically, out of blitz. If you blitz, Aaron is going to find that soft spot in that zone coverage or man coverage and beat you. He can audible the play snap and he knows where it's coming from. So if you see Caleb Williams as a blitzing slot cornerback, and you expect that curl flat defender to take on that slot wide receiver, and they're just audibling it to a hot lead to where now he's having that split end wide receiver run a go route, taking away that real estate all over there from the numbers to the boundary, and now you're having that slot wide receiver just run a quick out. That's a lot of ground to cover. So if you do that, be mindful that Aaron Rodgers is smart enough to, again, you're going to counter me, I'm going to counter you back. Okay, you want to bring a blitz? Okay, bring the pressure. I'm just going to throw him to where he used to be. Because I know that curl flat defender can't get there in time. And if you want to cheat over that way, my tight end is going to leak out and just go into that spot. And then just why stick it? Right? Why stick it? So I think it's a game of, look, Aaron Rodgers is not as mobile as people make him out to be, right? He's not the most mobile quarterback. He's not a Pat Mahomes or a Hundley or something like that. He's not. But he can manipulate the pocket. If the 49ers can box him inside, keep him inside the pocket with the interior pressure of Eric Armstead and DJ Jones, that's going to play in their favor. That's going to play in their favor. But they have to get home organically without that fifth rusher. And again, you can try to apply four-man rushers however you want to see it. But I would be wary of blitzing, and I would be wary of playing cover one. Because if you play cover one against these boundary cornerbacks, that's a win for Aaron Rodgers. You see, they don't know how to play the ball when the ball's in the air. I'm telling you, right? You're going to see it. Go back to that Green Bay Packers game and just look at how they play the ball when the ball. Half the time they don't even know the ball's coming to them because they don't get their head turned around in time because they're still trying to catch up with that wide receiver who has a half to a full step on the defensive back. So I don't know. He throws to a spot a lot of times. Devontae Adams, I mean, that's the best 1-2 punch in the entire NFL. Devontae Adams, even when he's not open, he's open. Because Aaron Rodgers can throw to an anticipated spot, and by the time he comes out of his break, boom, tight window, bam, in the breadbasket. So it's going to be fun to watch. I like it. But, it's a game of strength versus weakness, right? The Niners' weakness is their secondary. Why CeeDee Lamb only have one catch against the Dallas Cowboys when he's matched up 1-on-1 more times than not? That should have easily been a Cowboys. I shouldn't say that easily because I think the Niners would have won that game. It should have been an easy read for Dak Prescott to say, hey, look, CeeDee Lamb. You're matched up one-on-one. I don't care what cornerback on the San Francisco 49ers can win their one-on-one matchup with CeeDee Lamb. Tell me right now. Exactly. So, I don't know what's going on, man. I have no idea what's going on. Anyways, is my sound better? People are saying my sound is bad. Is my sound better? Is my sound better? Is my sound better? Um, yeah. So that's how I see it playing out. Other than that, I think is my sound good? Let me know if my sound is good, because if my sound is not good, that's not a good thing. All right, so I guess my sound was bad for 4 minutes. For 4 minutes, my sound was bad. See, that's what the super chat and super stickers help, so I get better audio equipment. But in all honesty, we have some things going. I don't know why my audio craps out. I really don't. Um, Red Run, you fine? I hear you fine. All right, thank you, Travis. I appreciate it. Look, this Green Bay Packers game, it's going to be fun to watch either whoever wins. Look, the Niners weren't even expected to make it this far. Let's be honest about that. Honestly, I mean, halfway through the year, we all thought that the season was lost. We did. We're like, oh man, this freaking Niners losses. We don't deserve to make the playoffs. Oh, and then here are the Niners. They're in it to win it. They're in their top 8 team in the entire NFL. This team shows heart. If there's one team that this team has shown me, it's heart. And I said that about the Niners back in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl. And I said, you know what? There's some things that you can't coach, right? We can have these hype speeches. We can talk all we want about, this player or that player, but it comes down to the team. What's the identity of this team? The team has heart. The team has heart. And if you have heart, that's all you can ask. And that's something that I think goes unnoticed is really you look for the team with the best team chemistry, and the Niners are clicking on all cylinders despite the injuries that they had. And there's a lot of teams that are injured and banged up this time of year. Let's not get it twisted, right? But for the most part, this team has a lot of heart. A lot of heart. They didn't listen to the noise, right? There's a lot of people that wrote off the San Francisco 49ers and said, you know what, this team sucks. Let's look to the draft. Literally, even people here in the BWF were like, hey Beast, I want to know who the Niners are going to draft. I say, you know what, hold on, the season ain't over yet. I'm not going to talk about draft yet because the season's not over yet. There's still faith. Keep the faith. Let's go. Here we are today. And this is why I say that. Because again, on any freaking given Sunday, anything can happen. Anything can freaking happen. Anything can happen. On any given Sunday, anything can happen. And they said that's Inside the NFL, my favorite show. If you guys don't watch Inside the NFL on Paramount Plus, if you guys are watching, love you guys. But they said the same thing. I mean, Julie Adam, any given Sunday, man. That's why they play the game. That's why you guys play the game. And so that's why it's so fun to watch, because these games on any given Sunday, anything can happen. Like, oh crap. Let's say that the Niners beat the Packers. Is it really an upset? I would say it's not as big of an upset as if who we have here that was really an upset. If the Niners beat the Packers, right, which they probably will, or sorry, which it could possibly be something that happens. I don't think they will, but it could possibly happen. Like the Bengals and Titans, right? If the Bengals beat the Titans, would I consider that an upset? Absolutely, because the Bengals are banged up. But if the Niners beat the Packers, would I think that as a big upset, despite them being the biggest underdog in the divisional round? Because if I'm looking at the lines right now, I'm pulling it up. They're the biggest underdog in this game. They're actually at -6 right now. That line moved from -5 to -6, and that a lot of that has to do with the unknowns of Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder. A lot of that has to do with the unknowns of Nick Bosa's concussion, along with Fred Warner's ankle injury. Even though it's a low ankle injury, you're not in the clear. Look, I think we all dealt with ankle injuries at one time or another. An ankle injury is an ankle injury. Now, high ankle injuries can require surgery depending on the grade. We spoke about this on the Beastwriter Plus. Not Beastwriter Plus, in the BWF earlier, but here on YouTube. But these injuries add up. And what are you going to shoot up? Toradol? You're going to put Toradol in your body? And then that'll numb the pain for, what, X amount of hours? And then it comes back. I mean, there's no way. It's just, I don't know. It's just really tough. It's really tough. But again, they're the biggest underdog. And I don't care what, Vegas must know something. But look, if I know it sounds crazy, if the Niners beat the Packers, would I be surprised? No. Like, in fact, I think it's a 55% chance or 45% chance that the Niners win. I don't know. Call it a homer take. I just think the Niners are built different. I think their heart. It all depends. It all comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo, to be honest with you, because if the running game can't get going, this game is over before it starts. If the running game gets going, then we have a shot. Jimmy Garoppolo, if you throw it 30 plus times, the Niners lose. The Niners lose. The Niners will lose this game if it becomes a shootout, which I don't think it's gonna end up being a shootout, but it could happen, right? It could happen. George Kittle, I think he's gonna have a big game, so that could very well happen. I just said he's gonna have close to 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, not 1 but 2. I think George Kittle's gonna go off. I think Kyle Juszczyk is going to be a focal point of that inside zone running game and be used not as a decoy this time, but as a pass catcher coming out of the flat to keep defensive honest and playing them honest. So a heavy dose of juice and 21 personnel and tight end George Kittle are going to be really keys in this game. We all know what Deebo Samuel is going to bring to the table. Deebo Samuel is going to be Deebo Samuel and doing Deebo things. That first team all pro, you beast. I already, speaking of inside the NFL, I tweeted them. I said, you know what? Like, Deebo Samuel to me is the best all-around wide receiver in the game. No offense to Cooper Kupp, but he's just built different, and he adds another element to any style of offense that defensive coordinators have to game plan against, right? And it's true. Like, nothing against Cooper Kupp, the triple crown king. In fact, speaking of exercising my PFWA vote, Pro Football Writers Association vote, I actually have Cooper Kupp as my offensive player of the year. Right? How can you argue the numbers? You can't. And I always say don't be a box score reader, but hey, when it comes to the offensive side of the football, I mean, the box score pretty much is the box score. Like, unless you play offensive line, and then you have to have a grading system for that, but pretty much. Real Chicago Bears fan says, which by the way, you guys know I have a Chicago Bears podcast coming out in Chicago now, because I'm covering the Niners, covering the Steelers. I cover all 32 teams, but Niners, Steelers, Bears, Packers, Chiefs. Who else we got going on here? A lot of podcasts that I'm on now. Raiders now. Yeah, I just love talking football, and it's picking up. Like, people want to know, hey, that's pretty good stuff. I don't like the Packers. Real Chicago Bears fan says, I don't like the Packers. I want to know if the 49ers can beat the Packers. The 49ers can definitely, obviously you don't like the Packers. They play in the division. And you guys are hated rivals. But yeah, I think the Niners can beat the Niners. But if the running game can get going, if it's not, then this game is over. It can easily be a blowout. Right? And let's face it, Aaron Rodgers loves to stick it to the San Francisco 49ers. He does. Because he wanted to play for them. Just like Tom Brady wanted to play for the 49ers. And John Lynch said, no, we like Jimmy Garoppolo. And people were saying, before that all that stuff was being hyped, I was like, you know what? I'm hearing talk that Tom Brady is in conversation, that he wants to come. Oh, you're lying. And it came out. Yeah, it's true. Another beast receipt checks out. But, yeah, I don't know. Fortail Devil P38 says, Vegas always knows something. Yeah, they do. They do. Vegas always knows something. So it's interesting. Which means that the biggest underdog, which means I don't know, I think the odds are, I still think the Niners have a shot. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope this is not it for the Niners, because as you guys know, me and Randy have a pregame show called Don't Cross the Beast Empire, and we're going to be hopping on that on the Relevant app. We'll be hopping on tomorrow at 5 p.m., 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be on doing our pregame show on the Green Bay Packers Niner game on the relevant app. But yeah, we want to keep this thing going, and we will. We'll probably talk draft and stuff like that. I love draft. Draft's my favorite part. This is all fun and games and stuff, but I really love the draft. I think that's the meat and potatoes of providing insider analysis moving into the season. I think if you know the NFL draft like the back of your hand, or if you kind of have a head start on the NFL draft and covering the draft and actually knowing what you're talking about when it comes to GMs, tendencies, biases, needs, and so forth, salary cap casualties, how that plays a role, what teams like to do based on this or that, based on positional breakdowns, based on conferences. I think you can kind of gauge and have a better landscape of being an insider analysis on all 32 NFL teams, which is when we talk about the Chicago Bears. Real Chicago Bears fan says, are you a 49ers insider? I am considered a 49ers insider. I'm now considered an NFL insider. I cover all 32 NFL teams. And I do have a Chicago Bears podcast coming out with Stephen Naghishi over in Chicago. And literally just talked to me right before this podcast. It's something I've been in the works. I've been kind of short on time with keeping up with the BWF, my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter, on top of running game grades week in and week out because I cover all 32 NFL teams. So I am now an NFL insider as a member of the Pro Football Writers Association. I do have year-end voting rights and like doing this and have my BWF grading system. So this is what I like to do. And I was actually a 49ers beat writer from 2013 to 2018 before moving on to cover the Pittsburgh Steelers for Sports Illustrated. And then once COVID hit, I said, you know what? I'm going to bring back my BWF YouTube channel and we're just going to launch it and make some money because during COVID, we couldn't really do crap anyways. And so here I am today. Long story short. All right. Real Chicago Bears fan says, yes, I'm still mad when Rodgers said, I still own you. 49ers beat the Cheeseheads. Yeah, I understand you're upset. Hey, if you want to talk Chicago Bears, we can do that. I mean, you guys don't have Ryan Pace there. You no longer have Matt Nagy there, something I predicted before the season began. I also said that you guys would make a move for Justin Fields, which you did. This is all before the draft started. Talked about this earlier before having you on. But, you know, Roquan Smith, graded every single snap of Roquan Smith this year. Guy's a beast, right? Very underrated. One of the top 5 off-ball linebackers in the game. I would say that Darius Leonard and Fred Warner are kind of 1 and 2, and then Roquan Smith is a close number 3. So definitely better than Devin White because I like what Roquan Smith can do in coverage. I think he's arguably the best off-ball linebacker in terms of coverage. You can't get better than Roquan Smith coming out of Georgia, and he's going to be due for a big money contract. I mean, he was drafted number 8 overall in that 2018 NFL draft class, and yeah, they're going to pick up his the 5th-year option and everything, but you have to sign that guy long-term. And obviously you got Robert Quinn, who just set, 18 and a half sacks? The single-season sack record for the Chicago Bears franchise history. That dude came alive, right? Remember Robert Quinn, for all you Niners fans? He played for the St. Louis Rams. I think he was drafted in 2014 or 2013, somewhere around there with I think Coach Fisher was the coach back then. I think they had Janoris Jenkins back then. They also had who was the wide receiver that they had back then? Gosh, I've got that wide receiver that they said that the Niners wanted, or AJ Jenkins. Remember AJ Jenkins during that time? 2012 was on the Niners. And then I think the Rams got someone else. I forgot who they got. But, yeah. I was told by you, by a 49ers YouTuber, great show. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the love. Yeah, man, I just love talking football. I'll definitely subscribe to your channel as well. I see you here. I'll subscribe to you and give you a shout out. Maybe we can kind of collab. I like talking NFL, man. I could talk about the Chicago Bears. We can talk. I mean, here I had no idea you're going to come on, but that's one thing that I'm going to be talking about is Chicago Bears. I'm having the podcast on with the Chicago Bears over in Chicago. And so, like I said, I love talking about and I think in order to really have substance on covering whatever team you're covering, you need to know the landscape of the entire NFL. Otherwise, you're just naming players off a roster. And to say, oh, this player is good, it's like compared to what? The players on their own team. I mean, anyone can name drop players on a roster and name that game. I like looking and grading and watching coaches film of all the players. I mean, look at Angelo Blackson, right? You look at guys like Mario Edwards, right? I like Mario Edwards. You look at guys around the, and again, Roquan Smith, who we just mentioned, right? So there's a lot of guys that we can talk about. Vildor, it's a liability for you guys on the back end. I think he's the worst defensive back that I graded in your secondary, right? I do like Jalen Johnson. I think he is a player. Tayshaun Gibson, he's aight. Tayshaun Gibson's okay. I do like Eddie Jackson, right? I like him. So Alabama, roll tide roll. But yeah, we can talk about players. I didn't like the Tevin Jenkins pick. I'm sorry. I kind of scrutinized that pick. I'm not a big fan of Tevin Jenkins. I do like Justin Fields. I do like Khalil Herbert. He got my vote for PFWA All-Rookie Team as a returner. So I do like Khalil Herbert. I like David Montgomery. I think he's a beast. I think he's one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL today. I would put him in the top 10. I do like David Montgomery, that little short scat back, but strong between the tackles. Like him, like the way he plays, like the way he runs. Always falls forward after initial contact. I really like him. So, yeah, we can talk about Chicago Bears. We can talk about the Green Bay Packers. We can talk about the San Francisco 49ers. We can talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. We can talk about the Tennessee Titans. We can talk about it all. Or Ollie Bear says, you're going to do all those curls again this year with us watching the draft with you. Yes. And you know what? To be honest with you, I threw up. I did. I threw up after eating all that pizza and working out at the same time. So I think I have to cut back somewhere. I think I'm going to cut back on the pizza because I was eating pizza while doing dump. That's the worst thing you could do. But I did it for entertainment purposes, and apparently you guys thought it was a hit. Look, I was hitting every pick. And for those who missed it, go back and watch my YouTube live stream on the NFL Draft Watch Party live. I was doing like 4-hour live streams of the draft as it was unfolding, and I made my picks. And I said, this is how I see it playing out. And every pick that I got correct, I would curl and eat pizza. Well, when the first 10 picks go by and I hit like 7 or 8 out of 10, I think it was like 7 or I think it was 8 out of 10, I was dying. And then when 15 to 20 was coming on, I was hitting on those too. And when the trades were I was hitting on those too. I was like, this is all before the draft took place. And I was like, man, I think I have to cut back on the pizza because, one, my arms are getting tired and I can't eat because I'm trying to gain my breath and I'm eating pizza. So stuff in your face, that's all bad. That's all bad. All right. Bears ownership. Don't know what they are doing. So glad the Bears fired the GM. He was a clown. Yeah, look, Ryan Pace, I don't know him personally. I do know people who know him personally, but it just didn't work out for him. And one of the things that I kind of thought was funny was when they drafted Leonard Floyd. They drafted Leonard Floyd, another Georgia product, right? Just like Roquan Smith, another linebacker that they drafted from Georgia. And they kind of wanted him in that tweener role where they hit him with body analysis, right? They're like, oh man, this guy's so skinny, we have to hit him with body analysis. I said, oh, well, you got to be careful of that because you ask a guy to gain 15, 20 pounds, where's that 15, 20 pounds going? Is it going to the legs? Is it going to his upper body? What's the BMI? What's the body mass index? What's the MPI? Like, what's the muscle protein synthesis that we're really putting on this kid? Because you can't just ask a guy, oh yeah, you look bigger. Would you gain 15, 20 pounds? It's like, when people ask me, I'm like, look, like, no. Because like right now, I'm 162, but people think I'm like 175. And I tell them, like, what'd you gain, like 20 pounds? Like, no, I just look bigger because I leaned out. But then my muscles look bigger because I leaned out. So it's like, it's all about building up muscle, not necessarily putting weight on a player. And I think that's the misconception with strength and conditioning coaches is they always say, oh, you have to bulk up 25, 30 pounds. Or even people who try to do this, it's like, no, man, I actually do this I know, right? You can't just say, hey, look at a kid and be like, yeah, you know what? If we can add 30 pounds to his frame, he could really be a space eater. Well, what if you jeopardize his speed because he's freaking 30 pounds fatter? Like, for real, though. Like, real talk. Like, we're just going to tell him to eat whatever? And that's another thing. You can't tell him to eat whatever, right? You can't be eating Fruity Pebbles all day, all right? Otherwise, you're going to look like a Fruity Pebble. Look, you have to eat right. You have to have your good meals. You have to time sensitive those things out based on your lifestyle, based on your practices. I don't know. I just think it's weird how, trust me, a lot of NFL players don't take their nutrition seriously. A lot of strength and conditioning coaches don't take that stuff seriously enough. Supplements. Who needs supplements? Yo, you need supplements, bro. Like, you need BCAAs. Oh, we can get it naturally from food. Okay, then go tell George Kittle to step off the freaking field and go have some amino acids with that, and eat some eggs. Go cook him up some eggs while he's taking a 30-second break, and then have him hop back in. In fact, he probably needs 8 egg whites, not 3. No, no, doesn't work that way. And then digest it no, not gonna work. Not gonna work. Ollie Bear says, "Hey Ryan, Coach Harbaugh, Jim wants to coach Chicago. He was their quarterback back in the day." I would love to see that. I would love to see Jim Harbaugh come back to the NFL, simply because I think the NFL is better with Jim Harbaugh. And yes, he did play for the Chicago Bears, and I remember he played the Niners one year. I think it was around Christmas time. It was the early 90s, I remember. And he beat the San Francisco 49ers, I believe. Because I remember listening on KGO as a kid. And I remember me and my parents, it was a road game. It was in Chicago, because otherwise we'd be at the game because we had season tickets. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I was young. I was a young kid, so I don't know. I was probably playing with my Transformers at the time while listening to the game. But if I remember correctly, I think Jim Harbaugh beat the Niners that game. And I want to say it was close to the holiday season. It was like a November, December game. It was in Chicago, and I think they beat them. I think. Or maybe the Niners came back. I don't know. But I knew Harbaugh gave him trouble because he was the starting quarterback. All right, so I think we're good now. Let me know if my mic is good. I think we're good. But yeah, so Michael says, "Beast, as always, love your content. As a Niner fan and watching your draft content last year, they need you in their war room." Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Mahalo for the love. This is, I get this a lot. And again, I've been asked to be an NFL scout in the past. And so I never really took that route. One, because it's a lot of traveling time. Um, you dedicate yourself on the road 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year. And so that's something that you have to take into account. And I was talking to Connie Carberg, the first NFL female scout, about this when she was on the BWF show, and we talked after the show, and she knows what's going on. But the first question they asked me was, "Do you have kids? Do you have a family?" I said, "No." They're like, "Great, you're perfect for the job." Like, with a straight face, I'm like, "Okay." And so that's what it takes. I mean, to all the scouts out there, my boy AJ Highsmith, who's now a scout with the Buffalo Bills, obviously Ethan Wall with the 49ers and so forth. Not a scout, he's the director of college scouting there. But you have guys there in these high places, and it's like they don't get the love. Like, the GMs get the love, and they should. I mean, they're the GM, they're in that high place. But it really takes a team and collective effort in making these executive decisions when it comes to the draft. The low-level grunt man, right? An intern plays a role. He has to collect all the data and then provide it to these scouts. And then, of course, if whatever team you're on, if you have contracts through Blesto or National, those are the top two scouting services out there. For those who don't know what Blesto stands for, it was way back in the day. It was a scouting service, right? And it consisted of the, if I'm not mistaken, it consisted of the, I want to say the Browns, Lions, Eagles, Steelers, right? Yeah. And, Browns, Lions, Eagles, Steelers. That's what Blesto stands for. I think it's Bless, and then TO stands for something organization. But yeah, that's what Blesto stands for. So Blesto or National Scouting, you have Justin Chabot there with the Niners, right? All those years. So yeah, it's a lot of work. If it comes across again, sure, I definitely look into it. Definitely would look into it. because at the end of the day, I do this anyways. It's nothing like out of the ordinary. And the Beast receipts check out. Like if someone wants to say, well, what's your resume builder? I'm like, go check my Beast receipts, man. Like it's pretty spot on. Like I can pull up every year, tendency, biases of every GM, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, smoke screens. I have that covered. I know all the national scouts, all everything. I have it. I even show. I'm not joking. I remember when Bob Lang, the PR guy for the Niners, who's now with the Eagles, and he's like, "Dude, how are you so like crazy good with this draft stuff?" Because I talked to John Lynch about it. You guys know what happened with John Lynch back in 2018, and he actually praised me. He's like, "Man, you know your stuff." I showed Bob. I said, "Look, this is what I have," and I was showing him like data and stats and stuff that I look for, and then my own grading system. He's like, "Dude, you did this?" I was like, "I did this, man." He's like, "How long have you been doing this, man?" "I've been doing this for a long time, like since 2000. He's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, look." He's like, "Oh, you're not kidding." He's like, "Yeah, no." I said, "Draft is my thing." He's like, "Yeah, no kidding." So here we are today. I love draft. I love draft because, again, everything can be said in hindsight, but it's real-time analysis that cross-checks in hindsight, which makes it worthwhile. Otherwise, why follow these people? Why follow Joe Schmo, who just goes on whenever he feels like it, does a space, does a YouTube channel, throws up a YouTube channel, talks whatever he wants to talk about, just to talk about it, and then be wrong about it in hindsight? No, when I come on, I want to make sure I have substance, authentic quality style of work, and I want to make sure I get it right. Otherwise, what's the point in following me? You can follow anyone. You can follow tons of people who get it wrong. So I always say, hey, you guys can choose to follow whoever you guys want. It's your life, it's your money, it's your time, and time is money. But if I was to follow somebody, I want to follow somebody who gets it right, not only in real time, but cross-checks it in hindsight and gets it right. And so draft has always been one of my things. Ollie Bear says, "I wish you were the 49ers conditioning coach." Well, it's funny you say that because on my Instagram, you know how they have on this day on Facebook? It showed up because when one of the conditioning coaches, I can pull it up right now. It's funny you mentioned this. This was trending. There was actually a trending hashtag for me to be the next strength and conditioning coach of the... Here we go. People made this of me, and I reposted it, and it was on Instagram, and it was trending. People were like, "Dude, Beast would be the strength and conditioning coach." This was back in 2019. And it's funny because even today you probably didn't know that was going on, and you're saying it today. Yeah. Jerry Yang says, "Bro, without kids, you should do the travel schedule while you still can." I know. I should. If I became a scout, it probably wouldn't be with the Niners. I'll be honest with you. Well, maybe it would be. I don't know. But it'd be whatever team it was, or whatever team it would be. It'd be something I look into it. I definitely look into it now for sure. But I spoke to one former GM, and he even told me last week, he's like, "You know what? You should be working for the league." He literally said that. He said, "You should be working for the league. They need more good people like you in the league that put in the hard work, dedication, discipline, all that." Unfortunately, look, some of the most qualified people don't get the job. It's all about who you know, not what you know. And a lot of the NFL has to do with people's personal agendas. They want to protect their in-house, whatever it is, right? Agendas. And so that's what happens. Literally, the most qualified people for jobs don't get the job, right? It's all about who you know, who you suck. Not saying every scenario, because that would be totally wrong of me to say that, because people are in high places and deserved it. But a lot of times nowadays, it's all about who you know, not what you know. Why do you think all these teams do bad scouting year in and year out, and then you cross-check with the BEASTwriter analysis and say, well, how come Beast can call this out? And personal agendas. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people like me out there. And that definitely won't be the last. So, I'm just not one to kiss ass. I've never been an ass kisser. I don't do that. I call it how I see it. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. Like, you don't have to like me, and I don't have to like you. So swipe left if you don't like me. I don't care. I don't like you either. And people don't like that. They think I should. People think I should bow down to them. I'm like, nah, I don't care. I ain't gonna bow down to nobody. I'll respect you, but respect is a two-way street. You respect me, I respect you. But you try to go sideways on me, beast gonna come out. Oily Bear says training and conditioning is so important, and like I tell my sons, you literally are what you eat too. There you go. You are. You literally are what you eat. It is very true. Abs are made in the kitchen, so to speak. Look, this morning I woke up, had a protein shake, my Evogen. I'm Evogen Elite, obviously, Evogen Athlete. So I had my Isoject, had 2 scoops of that. That's 50 grams of protein to strike my muscle and spike up my muscle protein synthesis. Any athlete should be waking up having a protein shake. All protein shakes are not created equal because there can be something called amino spiking. So when you read the label, it's not FDA approved, but you have to read on the label exactly what to look for to know if you're getting amino spiked protein. So they can say it's 25 grams per serving in this protein shake. But if it's amino spiked, and I talked about this on earlier live streams, when it comes to fitness, there's a thing called amino spiking, and you got to be wary of that because it does happen. It's a way to trick the consumer into buying something that they're really not getting. And it's not FDA approved. Amino spiking, that's why you want to see stuff that's trusted choice, right? If you read the label, if you go to a GNC store, you want to make sure that thing is trusted choice or third party tested. I mean, that's always good, but always make sure that you never want to go to us. And then also make sure you get a WPI, a whey protein isolate, because it's just a bit of filtration system. It goes straight to the muscle streams a little bit faster. And that's why I always suggest getting a WPI. But then all WPIs aren't even created equal. So you got it. That's why I just stick with Evogen, and you're good to go. Ollie Bear says, are you going into more competitions again? You know what? I'm still dealing with the torn rotator cuff. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Require surgery? Probably. My physical therapist said yes, it probably should be required surgery. I said, how long will I be out? They said, probably 8 months, 6 to 8 months. I said, no, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to get no surgery. I need to get my gains in. And so they know how I am. In fact, the physical therapist that I have is the same one that works on the Niners. And shocking! Oh my gosh! He said, you know what? You're just like them. Like you're just gonna do what you want to do. So just manage it. Like you've been managing it, and this obviously they say this thing has been effed up for almost a year. And I've just been dealing with the pain. And they're surprised at how I'm still pushing the weight I'm pushing. And I said, look, like, I don't know, that's beast mode. I was joking, of course, you know. Do you know who I am? That's funny. You know, the imposter, you know. Oh, my name is Ryan Sakamoto, but you may know me as the BEASTwriter. I actually think I should start off my YouTube channel by saying that, based on that imposter at the LA Rams game. My name is Ryan Sakamoto, but you may know me as BEASTwriter. You may know me as BEASTwriter. Wow. I would never say that. I would just be like, hi, are these your seats? I wouldn't even say my name. Like, what's the point? Like, who cares? Like, if they know me, they know me. Like, cool. And yes, if someone recognizes me and wants a selfie, then yeah. But I wouldn't be going out like, hey, do you want a picture with a BEASTwriter? Like, who does that? Oh my God. All right, is this better? Let me know if this is better. My volume messed up now? Is my volume messed up now? Or is it better? Is it better? Is it better? Hopefully it's better. I hope it's better. Let me know if it's better. If it's not better, I'm going to change it. Let's see here. All right. Is this better? Is this better now? All right. Is this better? Okay, cool. All right. Again, crappy equipment here in the BEASTwriter family. Doesn't get better than that with crappy equipment. Robert Watson says, sup B, still got this Candlestick Park pennant and Jimmy G bobblehead you gave me. Much love. Still a huge fan. Robbie Watson. Hey, you're very welcome. Mahalo for the love. For those who don't know, and if you need to look at all you guys, Travis Prank, I think that's how you spell your last name. Or pronounce your last name. I apologize. But go ahead and join me on YouTube subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll be entered for our BEASTwriter Family giveaways that we run. So it's just a thank you from me. I've always been one to do this ever since I started covering the Niners, and now I cover the entire NFL. It's just something as a thank you for me to you, because I wouldn't be here without you guys in my corner, and I really appreciate all your guys' love and support. Let's not get it twisted. I think that's the most important lesson that I've learned at a very young age, and from my parents is, you always got to be humble. Being confident is one thing. Being confident is good. Don't be cocky, right? Confidence and cockiness are two different things. And I always comes down, and I talk about this on my Instagram and my Fitspiration. And you guys know my Instagram's mainly for my Fitspiration, my fitness modeling and so forth, and my competitions and everything like that. But we talk about it, right? We talk about it on Instagram, and I say that the difference between someone who's cocky and someone who's confident is humbleness, right? Humbleness and always be willing to grow, right? Because if you're a cocky guy, you're egotistical know-it-all. But if you're humble enough to understand that there's always room for growth, then you have something there. And I talked about that, and I always talk about that. That's one thing that I like talking about. But Robert Watson, thank you so much. I appreciate the love. The Jimmy G bobblehead. Hey, Jimmy G's doing well, right? Kind of. Not really. But he's not doing bad. He's not bad to where they're losing the game yet. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's get to some of your questions before I get going. It's already 1 o'clock. I had no idea. I got to take my pre-workout. I got to hit the gym, get my gym gains in. If you guys haven't followed me on Instagram, be sure to do that. Everybody has Instagram. Who doesn't have Instagram these days? Everybody and their mama has Instagram. Actually, my mama don't have an Instagram. Now that I think about it. No, my mama has Instagram. But does she have Instagram? Actually, I don't know if my mama has Instagram. People are like, what's going on? But anyways, I am on Instagram. Just go to BEASTwriter, and you will find me, the real BEASTwriter. Just so you guys know, it's me. I don't know how I don't have a blue verified badge on Instagram like I do Twitter. So there are fake BEASTwriters of me, believe it or not. I know who wants to be Beast. I know. Don't get me started on weird stuff like that. It's weird. Anyways, this is me. So if you guys want to follow me, be sure to follow me on Instagram. It's right there. Bay Area rooted family, evil nutrition athlete, coached by Omar V33, Team Ventura, PFWA, NFL Insider Analyst. And it links to my YouTube channel here on YouTube. Mr. TNA says, Jerry Yang says, got to tell Kyle Shanahan what you said about cockiness and confidence. You know what? The funny thing is I talk to other NFL coaches, other NFL players, former and current, executives, former and current. We all we all know Kyle Shanahan personally, all right? And we all come up with the same thing that BC ain't wrong, man. Like, the guy's cocky. He's cocky, but I think that's what makes him good. And let's face it, in this Green Bay Packers game, he may chase points. They may be on the goal line, right? I'm just foreshadowing here. They may be on the goal line, and let's say the Green Bay Packers score a touchdown first, so it's 7-0. They're on the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line. It's 4th and 2. And instead of taking the points to go up to crunch that lead down to 4 to 7-3, he may go for a touchdown and chase the points early in the first quarter. I'm just saying. He may run a goal line situation where he's like, all right, dude, we're just going to 4th and 2, we can get it in there, man, because if we don't, the analytics will tell us that they're going to be backed up in their own end zone and it'll possibly be a 3 and out, and we can just get the ball back with good field position, so the analytics will... I don't care what the analytics say. I'm taking the points. On the road, in Green Bay, take the points. But, hey, time and time again, Shanahan does something weird. And it hasn't hurt them in the end yet. But it can this week if he's not careful. Mr. TNA says, B-Star, will Jimmy G play in this game? If he does, my money is on the Niners to run through the Packers defense and Jimmy to take only one mistake. If Trey plays, Niners will lose. Ooh, interesting. I think Jimmy G plays in this game. I think he does. I think, and again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners win this game. Because the running game is freaking amazing. The inside zone runs, outside zone runs. You guys got to learn and understand schemes. It's a game of scheme and a game of matchups. And I'm telling you, the inside zone runs to the counters, if you try to run a bare front and clog up the middle, chewing up those A gaps and those B gaps, the C gap bubble is wide open in that bare front. So you're going to have a strong outside linebacker to box that play back inside while still being able to make the play, because if you don't, that C gap is wide open, and that's an extra 5 to 6 yards of real estate, because again, there's 5 man on that line of scrimmage. Once you get that first wave, those second level backers are playing their splits wide, and then it's a game of lateral agility and making tackles in open space. Mr. Teenage says you should talk with Tom Grossi to do a preview about this game. He's one with a raid, and I'm sure he will accept if he has time. All right, I will definitely do that. I'll hit Tom Grossi to do a preview about this game. That's actually a good idea. I don't know how I'm gonna. I guess I could reach out for. I do follow him on YouTube, and he did retweet me, which is very generous of him. I should do that. Where would you rank Elijah Mitchell in his rookie campaign when it comes to running backs? Look, Elijah Mitchell got my vote for Pro Football Writers Association. Now I'm just going to show you my votes. I'm very transparent. So it's nothing like, oh my gosh, you can't release your votes yet. No, man. For those who don't know, I am a member of the prestigious Pro Football Writers Association. I do have year-end voting rights. I'm going to show you guys my votes. All right, this is who I have. All right, most valuable player, I have Tom Brady. Offensive player of the year, I know people are like, oh, Aaron Rodgers. No, I have Tom Brady. Offensive player of the year, I have Cooper Kupp. Defensive player of the year, I have TJ Watt. Rookie of the year, I have Micah Parsons. Offensive rookie of the year, I have Jamar Chase. Defensive rookie of the year, I have Micah Parsons. Comeback player of the year, I have Dak Prescott. Most improved player of the year, I have Trayvon Diggs. Say what you want. Trayvon Diggs is arguably the best ball hawking defensive back in the league right now. He wasn't last year. Coach of the year, I have Bill Belichick. Executive of the year, I have Bill Belichick. Assistant coach of the year, I have Leslie Frazier. I think Leslie Frazier should be in line for a head coaching gig. I mean, he's doing a wonderful job down in Buffalo, or up in Buffalo. NFL quarterbacks for the all first team All-Pro team. Sorry, Aaron Rodgers. I like you, but I got to go with Tom Brady. I have Tom Brady, my 2 running backs. All right, I have Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. Wide receivers, I have Deebo Samuel and Cooper Kupp. Tight end, wait for it, George Kittle. Yeah, baby. NFL center, Jason Kelsey. Guards, I have Joel Bitonio and Quentin Nelson. Offensive tackles, wait for it, Trent Silverback Williams and Tristan Wirfs. Defensive ends, again, what's different from the PFWA as opposed to the AP All-Pro team is it's in the PFWA, it's more tailored to a traditional roster, right? Whereas the AP team is kind of different. So I have 2 defensive ends to choose from. I chose Myles Garrett and Cam Jordan. I didn't have Nick Bosa in there. I graded every single snap, like I said. All 3 of those guys. Cam Jordan had a perfect pass rushing grade in 4 of his last 5 games. Aside from that, his run fit integrity was on point. He was graded just a slight nudge above Nick Bosa. Just a slight nudge. So for first team All-Pro, I went with Cam Jordan. My interior defensive tackles, I go with Cam Hayward from the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Donald. Outside linebackers, my edge outside linebackers, I have Micah Parsons and TJ Watt. My middle linebacker, sorry Fred Warner, not this year. That goes to Darius Leonard, the best off-ball linebacker in the game. My NFL cornerbacks that I have Jalen Ramsey and J.C. Jackson. Now the crazy thing about this is Pat Surtain was actually graded as the best cornerback in my BWF grading system. But again, when I look at scheme, when I look at skill set, I just think that you can't leave out Jalen Ramsey. You have to put him in there. J.C. Jackson was already a lock on one side, so I went with Jalen Ramsey. NFL safeties, Justin Simmons, who was not even a Pro Bowl vote because it's a fan voting affair. Horrible. Give me Justin Simmons as a free safety and Tyrone Matthews. Both those guys were not in the running. Justin Simmons didn't make an All-Pro team, and either did Tyrone Matthews. But Tyrone Matthews is my number 1 graded safety, strong safety, free safety, doesn't matter. He should have been a first-team All-Pro vote. He gets my vote for the 3rd time in a row. Place kicker, Justin Tucker from the Baltimore Ravens. Punter, Johnny Hecker. Kick returner, Braxton Berrios from the New York Football Jets. Jakeem Grant from the Bears is my punt returner. JT Gray from the New Orleans Saints is my special teamer. And that wraps up the first team All-Pro team. Michael Hagevort. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate the love and support. He says, I feel like I got a direct plug on insider info with your content. Keep up the hard work, Beast. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the love. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. You know, providing insider analysis, Beast analysis found nowhere else on the web, only here in the BWF. All right. I appreciate it. Aaron Harris says, your podcast with Randy Cost. Did you break out sleeves? I'm always sleeveless. And Randy knows that. Randy's like, dude, that's your trademark. You have to go sleeveless. Randy's a huge supporter of no sleeves, Beast. I'm serious. He's like, no, man, that's you, man. Like, it's funny because when that Rams imposter was there, he's like, man, nah, you'd be sleeveless. You'd be sleeveless at the game. I said, you're right, Randy. I said, but with all due respect, that dude does not look like. He's like, nah, that dude does not look like you. You can tell if you're running into BEASTwriter. Hi, my name is Ryan Sakamoto, but you may know me as BEASTwriter. Funny. So sorry to the 49ers fans. Rodgers will kill the Niners. Niners overrated. Ooh, a Packers fan's chiming in here and said that. Interesting. He says Rodgers on the Niners, which I respect. Hey, there's a lot of people. Hey, they're 6.5 point underdogs for a reason. That line probably will move to 6.5 when it's all said and done. It could move the other way to 5.5, but ultimately it all depends on Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulder and Nick Bosa. How healthy is Nick Bosa? Vegas will know something. That line will move, and Vegas will know, and we will know based on how that line moves. I don't think the Niners are overrated. I do not believe the Niners are overrated. I think they are underrated. I think they're underrated. They're one team no team wants to play, and I don't think the Packers want to play them. I think that they had a choice to choose between the Packers or the Rams. I think they'd rather choose the Rams, honestly. But hey, that's anyone's guess. That's anyone's guess. All right. Here it is right here. But yeah, to each their own. We all can have an opinion. All right, that'll be it for this YouTube live stream. I hope you liked what I had to say. If you did, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen as you stay up to date on the All Things Beast in real time. We did a 2-hour live stream. It was hot. It was kicking. It was live and well. Had a lot of fun doing it, too. But those are my predictions. If you guys are not watching this live stream and watching this in hindsight, cool story. Good. See what I had to say. Leave your comments, drop your comments. I will save those comments for the next live stream. I always look at my comments at the gym as I'm getting ready to go to the gym after I take my pre-workout. And I will answer those accordingly on tomorrow's live stream. So again, that's how we're going to format it, is if you have questions, you're not watching this live, go ahead and answer those in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer them on the next live stream. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun on this one. Aaron Harris says, I feel like this old school WWE corporate beast versus the people's beast. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. The corporate beast versus the people's beast. It's funny because if you talk about WWE or WWF back then, before they got in trouble for using WWF, The Rock was my favorite all-time wrestler, and he was always the people's champ. So being called the people's beast, I like that. I can go with that. If you smell what the beast is cooking. I can never do the eyebrow thing, but I tried, but I can't do it. Not as good as The Rock anyways. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. We're going to smack this down, WWF reference, and lay the people's elbow as we knock this out of the ballpark. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. I had a lot of fun. Ollie Bear, thank you so much for all the super chat and super stickers from everyone involved. Just let me go back and make sure that I got to everyone. I did. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a great... Oh, I got one more question from my Grand Riser. Hey, Beast, do you think Jimmy G almost choked the game away against the Cowboys by one missing open receiver in the second half and by not being able to execute the shift on the quarterback sneak? I wouldn't say that, but... I just got an email from PFWA. The balloting for the PFWA has been extended. So today was supposed to be the deadline, but usually every year they extend it. They extended it. I will answer that on my BEASTwriter Plus newsletter. But thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I had a lot of fun. Take care for now. That's it. BEASTwriter out.